So how about them Jazz?
I don't watch basketball.
You were the wise one. You really were. I envy you because I watched it. I became a glutton for punishment. Although I guess I should thank the Jazz because of the failing basketball, that's technically what turned me to pro wrestling in high school. And therefore, I would not have a Macho Man impression if not for that.
And thus our meme was born.
Elemental Heat! Oh, yeah! I gotta, if I'm gonna do more stuff like this, then I probably better do this before we start. Welcome, chat. I hope everybody's having a good night.
Welcome, Anime Atlas. Hello, Forlorn Hope.
Did you say Forlorn Hope?
Yep.
Hi. I'm gonna say this right now. Forlorn Hope. I hope you're not going to, but on Friday you might hate me. Next Friday, not yesterday. Next Friday. Let's just say a review that I've talked with you about is actually going up that week.
It's the Mirror's Edge one.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Well, I think, spoiler alert, people can kind of gauge what your thoughts are on it.
Yeah. That's why I make them watch the video. They don't entirely know. For all you know, yeah. I'm actually...
from that tone of voice.
I'm completely marking you guys, or I'm completely making it up, and I gave it like a 10 out of 10. No, I'm not that good. I don't like being an actor around you guys.
Speaking of reviews, I actually, on my Daily Motion account, which I keep as really kind of the third tier backup here, I put up my Yona of the Dawn video while it's still down on YouTube. And weirdly enough, Daily Motion gave the thumbnail the random picture of Sword Art Online that I put in the video. The picture appears for, I don't know, maybe 3 seconds in the actual review, because I mentioned Sword Art Online very, very briefly. And for whatever reason, Daily Motion just decided to assign that particular picture in the middle of the video as the thumbnail.
This is for Yona of the Dawn?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And because Daily Motion doesn't offer 3 thumbnail choices like YouTube does, and doesn't offer custom thumbnails like YouTube does, I'm kind of stuck with it.
Mm-hmm. Well, we were stuck with ours early on in Dragon Shadow. It actually personally irritated me because they'd always get like the dumbest shots from the games.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because first they only gave us 1, and then they started giving us the suggestions for 3, and all 3 were they were stupid. They were like in front of a wall or something. So like if you wanted to get that glory shot of someplace in Jack and Daxter, you didn't get that.
Of course not. The auto thumbnail system has always been terrible.
Sorry, I'm just answering things.
I just realized on Twitter when I advertised that we're on early to chat with everybody, I said, join us early for our live chat before we go live. God, I'm so redundant.
I've rubbed off on you. I have.
Department of Redundancy Department.
Yep. So somebody brought to my attention Something that I might want to consider for the live stream. So I'm going to get the chat's opinion on it, and I'm going to get the Shadow Blazer's opinion too. Since I like doing this kind of stuff, and I've done things with Anime Atlas before, I've done stuff with you before. Somebody actually said, well, one of you guys needs to do like a YouTube creator community night and host like a little podcast. Not a podcast, but like a YouTube creator community night, so that people can, and basically make it like an open AMA that people can ask whatever they want for like YouTube creators or that creator in specific.
So you like invite a specific creator and you just have an open Q&A?
I don't know. Like part of me would want to open it up to other creators that maybe want to show up, but I don't know how I would limit that, because, you know, you could have somebody come ask, you know, saying I'm a content creator and they have no videos on their channel and they have like 5 subscribers. So I don't know. I haven't figured out the detail, but I'm just curious as to people's opinion on that. I guess I'm not against it, but I would definitely want to look into details like that.
It's a good idea, but yeah, you just need that means of control, so it doesn't get insane.
Well, you need that filter. Is I think the best way is like, because I would want. Sorry, guys. This is why I have a cough drop in my mouth, because I've been coughing all day. You'd want that filter. You'd want to be able to bring on people who have been making videos for quite a while and who've been dealing with YouTube in some way, positive or negative, and then do it. But I do like the fact of like doing an open kind of AMA. You can ask whatever you want. Like if you want to ask if they could do this video or whatever, then you can do that. But I agree with you. It needs to have restrictions. Probably needs to have lots of moderators. And that's going to be something to consider. Did I ever tell you guys that at work yesterday we had a major fire drill and we had to stand outside for about 20 minutes before we went on our first break? It was fun while it lasted.
Man, this stuff never happens where I work. Although the burglar alarm went off.
I haven't had a fire drill, but when I worked for DirecTV out there, we had so many people calling. Like I think it was the first day of the NFL season. They were trying out new servers, and there were so many calls that came in. They actually broke the building.
Oh yeah,
the server shorted. I think maybe one of them was defective. It actually blew out the breaker.
Wow.
And therefore the entire building went down. So we actually, the funniest part was like the staff there said, okay, well, fine. We'll take everybody outside. Pizza party while they fixed it.
Nice.
Well, not quite. It was like Little Caesars or something. It was like super, super cheap.
Who cares? I love Little Caesars.
It wasn't Little Caesars, but like think of your super, super cheap pizza.
Okay.
You must have had a small server. Again, I don't know what the details were because again, it's a call center and it was DirecTV, so hush hush. They wouldn't tell us anything. But that was the rumor going around. It's like we got so many calls that we blew the servers and blew the breaker on it. It was cool. I mean, I got like an hour off the phones.
That's nice.
Yes, until they actually say, okay, everybody come back in. And you're like, oh.
Yeah, you actually got to go back to work.
Kind of want to go home early because then I have to deal with because I was tech support. So I had to deal with the dumb questions. You want something that actually makes you lose faith in humanity? Go do tech support for something. It'll do it. I think we've got. This is something I'm going to have to get used to, is the chat delay, because like they're getting things a couple of seconds later, and I'm like, I'm expecting live responses, and that's not how it works.
Not how it works in the slightest.
Drac has to lower his expectations. So I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys now, because we're 15 minutes away from the podcast. We have our agenda set, but there is another story.
There is another story.
There is. It's a listener suggestion, and I'm keeping it to myself until the right time. So I'm saying I know what it is. Alex doesn't. Discuss, chat. Try and figure out what it is.
God, I'm afraid to find out.
It's strangely appropriate. Giving geek content. Oh. They kept the fire alarms running throughout the whole time, and once the guy said all clear, he immediately shut off the alarms. Oh, that sucks. They kept the fire alarms on the entire time. Please tell me that your work was handing out headache pills.
Oh, I know. Those are
They
awful.
bought this big econo size thing of Tylenol and just do you need a Tylenol? Do you need a Tylenol? Do you need a Tylenol?
Yeah, I mean, yesterday at work, the burglar alarm went off for 5 seconds. That's about it. That's the most exciting thing that's happened recently, as far as work goes.
Well, you work retail, so that is unless your place catches fire, which can happen.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've gone in and done inventories for places that like clothing stores that caught fire, and had the sprinkler system go off, so you could actually walk in and smell nothing but mold.
Oh, gee.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was a hard inventory to do, especially for a guy with allergies.
I can imagine.
Oh man, I had to step out every 30 minutes. Thankfully, I had one of those little travel packs of Kleenexes in my pocket, but I think at one point I actually needed to go out of the inventory and get a full-on box of Kleenexes for people, because I wasn't the only one that had allergies. You have no clue, Forlorn Hope. You will.
She has no clue.
You will.
You will. She will.
Speaking of Clue, another story that we actually never got around to talking about, the Clue remake.
The Clue remake, because that needs
excited.
to be remade. That really.
Are you saying it doesn't?
Not really. It makes about as much sense now as it did then. It's a damn board game.
If it's done right, then yes. But that's the thing. I can honestly tell you, I don't know of a single comedy director I would trust with Clue, but I'm at least happy that Clue is getting another concept. In fact, here's a great idea: do what the original Clue did and actually record 3 endings and send them out to random movie theaters.
Interesting idea.
You never knew that?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Clue has 3 endings, and what they did was they made reels that had all 3 endings, and then they just sent them out. So you could literally go to one theater that had Clue, get one experience, and then you could go to a neighboring one and get a completely different one. And then when they released it out on DVD, they gave all 3 endings. All I heard was fire alarms before, and the ones that I had at my thrift store were definitely ring your ears vibrations. That's why I don't work retail anymore. Stuff like that would just basically guarantee I can't work. It's crap, I can hear this in my head and it won't leave me alone. And then the voices are talking to me and I don't really like that because they keep on telling me to do weird things. Go buy a banana, and I'm like, why do you want me to go buy a banana? He's like, because.
Because.
Boy, you never gave me the reason. That's the way it goes. You're in for that kind of a night, chat. Hope you're ready. And we've got plenty to talk about. A lot of it, we set up the tech portion fairly well. But our entertainment portion is kind of weird. But animal lovers rejoice. We are talking about Harambe. I've avoided it for this long, and finally I have to talk about Harambe.
Well, we've never really had a reason to talk about it until
Actually,
now.
no, we got a listener suggestion asking, because there's apparently there was a petition or something to get one of the new Pokemon named after Harambe.
Yeah, I posted that story.
Mm-hmm. So we had that. Um, so we had that, and that never made the agenda. It was just like, okay, another petition. What can we say about this? Especially since at that point I didn't really know about Harambe. So
You didn't know about Harambe?
mm-mm. Again,
Dude,
this
you
was
don't have to.
this is a story that was probably covered on Daily News, was it not?
Not just daily news; it's all over YouTube too, dude. I don't care if you. I'm not saying you have to like watch. You know,
You do
I'm not
realize
saying
I
you have to,
filter crap in YouTube, right?
like even like tech shows were talking about it, and like vloggers were talking about it. Oh my! It was everywhere on YouTube.
They were talking about the damn lion too, and I avoided those.
The lion's just it's a fluff piece that people are just throwing in because the whole Harambe thing, and you know.
I'm there on Harambe. I'm not trying to be a dork, but look, I get the cute animals we don't want to see die or get sick or anything like that, but sorry, but that's a fact of life. I'm sorry that you're gonna miss Harambe. I am. What? I am. I'm not gonna go. No, I'm not. No, I am. But at the same time, just give me a good show. Good show. Damn it. Well,
we
the
hope
bar's
so.
been set.
That's what we strive to do every week. We hope to give a good show.
And if we don't, then Atlas will let us know. We shall face the wrath of the Atlas. That's the next WoW expansion. Wrath of the Atlas.
Wrath of the Atlas.
Yes. That's appropriate. I will be 100% honest with people. I almost didn't make the podcast tonight. I'm back in that mindset where WoW actually like consumes time. Where I lose track of time because I was actually recording a bunch of stuff for like WoW videos. So I almost didn't make it tonight. Or I would have gotten here horribly late. So if I seem tired, if my voice is a little scratchy, that's why.
I just spent my morning cleaning. That was it.
What, cleaning at your work or cleaning your place?
Cleaning my place. Cleaning up my room, my bathroom, cleaning out that den. Which is bad because now there's a spider around somewhere and I don't know where it is.
Oh, no. Well, don't let Andrea know about it. She'll call me up in the middle of the night and ask me to kill it. I love it. She goes on one of our shows like, I'm not afraid of spiders. I'm like, you were the one who at 5 a.m. sends me a text. I'm not working early that morning, and you send me, oh, by the way, there's a spider in the garage. Could you take care of it, please? Okay.
Well, at least she made it out. I would have been frozen in my tracks and probably not gotten out of the garage. I probably just would have like, can you get this? Okay, I'm not that bad. I can at least muster up the courage to grab a tissue and throw it in the toilet. But yeah, if anybody has never heard, I am deathly arachnophobic.
I did not know that.
Brooke is going to eat me in my sleep.
Yes, it's
probably so.
It's the Cthulhian horror you never knew existed.
Probably so.
I had a scorpion in my garage once. It was not fun. I wouldn't think that would be.
Yeah. You know, I know my mom was stung by one once upon a time.
Really?
This was so many years ago. This is probably even before I was born. I don't know when it was, but I know this happened. But that was...
I've never heard about that.
Yeah.
I've seen a few here and there, but I'm starting to see less and less where we're living. I still remember like when we barely moved out here because before I lived here, chat, I lived about 5 minutes away, and it was brand spanking new houses. So it was still desert out where we were living, and there was maybe a couple of houses off to the south. And we actually had, when we barely moved into the house, we had Black Widow issues. We had a neighbor house had hobo issues.
Oh God!
And I know that we saw like scorpions out in the desert area, but they never went to the houses. At least not that I was aware of.
Yeah. Welcome to the desert.
Yep.
And we got 3 likes and 3 dislikes on the video.
Oops. Why do we have 3 dislikes? What the hell?
Probably because we're just talking a bunch of random nonsense.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry
Hey,
that we're trying.
Cuny!
I'm sorry. We're accommodating to listeners who want to be able to talk to us before the freaking podcast. I apologize.
Yeah, this is a new, for anybody who is just tuning in, this is a sort of a new format we've been experimenting with the last couple of weeks, where we go on a little earlier to kind of just casually hang out, interact with the chat some more, just because during the actual show, we're pretty much roundtable discussion on all the topics. So we just figured this is the best way to interact with you people on the chat. So we appreciate everybody who does come in. And
thank you, Forlorn Hope, for balancing it out. We appreciate that. No, this is something that's brand spanking new, and it's one of those things where we don't really get to reach out to the people who watch the podcast, who watch Drac and Shadow. And so when we get or even on our own individual channels, so when we get the opportunity, we like to take advantage of it. For example, we go on Atlas's show and completely ruin it. Or I'm sorry, that's just me. I'm like the non-anime fan there. I'm the antithesis of what you guys are trying to do.
Yeah. Even this chats are pretty casual.
Yeah. Oh, I know what did the 3 dislikes. We talked about spiders. That's what happened.
Spiders! Spider lovers hate us now.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, I met people who have pet spiders. So
people do.
Yep. I still remember one guy. He was like a big old jock in I went to high school for about a year in Idaho, and this big dude, big jock, had a pet tarantula that was defanged and all that. He was harmless. And it was one of those biology classes where they wanted to see something unique. So he brought it with him. Now let me set the scene here really quick. In the class, there was about 4 guys and about 16 girls, all of which deathly afraid of spiders. And at one point, the teacher did something they should never have done, which was, does everybody in the class want to see the pet spider? The problem was that one of the guys and the girls had a fight earlier on, just, bully crap, high school nonsense. And he decided to take the spider out and throw it onto her.
Of course he did.
She freaks out, steps on it, and kills it.
Oh.
I have never seen a dude so butch cry so hard.
Aw. And
I get why, man. That's the old Yeller moment for him.
Yeah.
But it's like, I mean, this guy literally walked out, like, and it had like a weird name, like Lucky or something like that. He's like, oh, Lucky.
Romney always comes in at the weirdest times.
It's both a blessing and a curse.
Yes. A friend of mine at work has a pet rat. He actually has 2 of them. I've known people who have rats.
My sister owned rats.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they can be very sweet, but you got to know how to take care of them properly, because, well, they get fat pretty quickly if they are overfed and stuff like that. And it'll be kind of funny because you'll see that they'll get fat in older age, but they'll still try to play around, and so it does look kind of cute. But yeah, there are various quirks to owning rats. I mean, one thing that a lot of people don't realize is that when they're stressed, you'll see little red things go on their noses, because that's basically an indication that they're under a lot of stress, and that can be bad for little ratties. My sister liked naming them after the various muses. The first one she got was named Calliope, then she named one Polyhymnia, then Cleo, and then after that she jumped to different gods. And it's funny because my brothers and I made fun of her for this. She named one Nike and named the other one Echo. Now, most people think of the shoes, but those, Nike is the goddess of victory, and I don't know what Echo's the goddess of, but it was just funny because she's like, oh, I named them after these goddesses, and we're just like, you named them after shoes.
Yeah, pretty much. What's next, Converse?
Converse.
All right, so before we get things started, I should point out I have a little friend with me that Romney will appreciate. And if you guys haven't seen his video, we'll link it in the chat. I brought a little friend with me that I can't finish. We're gonna try tonight. This I don't know what I did to this thing, chat. I must have just called its mommy every kind of name in the book, but this bottle has declared war on my freaking throat. Every time I take a swig, it is so hard. It attacks me.
It's so no. It is like really. That is like the most carbonated soft drink I think I've ever had. And in fact, I drank a little more on my way home, and then I just kind of dumped the rest because I couldn't do anymore. And it's left a stain on the pavement. There's now like a Crystal Pepsi stain outside my house.
Nice.
Oh,
and Brett Jones wanted this back. F you, Brett Jones. All right. So, okay, we'll get started in just a second. I want to get some more water, and then I think we'll be good.
And Forlorn has never had Crystal Pepsi. Yeah, probably a good thing that you haven't. It's
probably
really potent stuff. Because we're on the topic, Mr. Romney here has put up a video on his channel of when he had us both drink the Crystal Pepsi together. Our reactions are something interesting. So go check out his channel. He's got a video on that.
Yep, sadly it was the only one I was able to get done this week because I've been working on a review of Kubo and the Two Strings, and I don't know why I do this to myself. Sometimes I'm thinking, oh, well, let's do something creative. And, well, it's another poetic review, but I'm actually trying to make it look visually interesting. And that's why it's taking an eternity.
That's out by now. I actually want to see it.
Yeah, it's been out for a couple of weeks, and I wholeheartedly recommend it because basically, to give a good comparison, between the two family films I saw, Peach Dragon and Kubo and the Two Strings, and this is something I'm probably going to make a separate video discussing, but Kubo does something that Peach Dragon doesn't, and that's by having actual clear stakes. Like, you actually sense the actual peril the main characters experience on their journey, whereas Peach Dragon, the reason why I was so bored is that nothing changes, nothing happens. I mean, yeah, it's like, oh, there's a dragon, but really nothing changes as a result of the actions of the story in any meaningful way, nor is there any real risk or peril that the characters face.
That edge.
Should you really be drinking this before we're about to do a 2-hour show?
No, and it's attacking my tongue. But to advertise the video, I must. All right. So let's go ahead and get
we should make it clear. Perhaps we should make it clear we're not being sponsored by the Pepsi company.
No,
if we
I'd have some words if we were sponsored by the Pepsi company.
Yeah, given the opinions we've all said, there's no way we're going to be sponsored by the Pepsi company in the future.
If anything, we're getting strikes. Okay, so I'm ready to go when you are.
Let's go.
All right.
3.
Sound speed.
Oh, shit.
3, 2, 1. Somebody actually asked me why I do this. It actually makes editing a lot easier, people.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so here we go. Welcome, everybody, to another wonderful episode of Geek News Reviews and Opinions for Saturday night, August 27th. I am your host, Adam Mickelson, a.k.a. Drac. How is everybody doing this fine weekend? I hope everybody is doing good. I am dead tired because, again, I am trying to get another 2 weeks' worth of footage and editing done so that I maybe actually can give myself a week off for, I don't know, a certain game that's coming out on Tuesday, and I want to play it. Okay, not a game, an expansion. I don't care. It's fine. It's for me. So yeah, I've got that going. I hope everybody else has had a wonderful week. And of course, I'm being joined by my usual panel of fellow geeks, fellow YouTubers, fellow critics. And we're going to start with Stephen Romney of Studio Ghost, Utah, and local Pepsi purveyor. How you doing, Romney?
I'm doing pretty good. Like I mentioned, I was only able to get the Crystal Pepsi video up this week because, well, I put a bunch of extra work on myself for my Kubo review, but it is my hope that it'll at least look more visually interesting compared to the other poetry videos I've done in the past. So there's that, but now I've also been moving on to a different game. After finally beating Dissidia, I've been moving on to the Final Fantasy X 10-2 HD remaster. Been having some enjoyment with that, although still a little miffed about what they did to the music. But, well, other than that, it's been an okay week.
Did they change the music? I haven't played the remastered version yet.
They did. I mean, with PS4 and PS3, or at least I know with PS3 you can switch to the original music, but they tried re-recording a bunch of tracks, adding a bunch of different instruments, and some songs, they did an okay job, but other ones, they don't sound that good, especially the battle theme.
What version are you playing, then?
On the Vita.
Okay. Good to know. I might actually go to the PS3 version then. I was thinking about going to the PS4 version, but if they have that problem, then I'm not going to. And of course, we're also being joined by the Shadow Blazer himself. How you doing, Alex? And why on earth are you in the light again?
Because I'm always in the light where I belong. Somebody dragged me into it.
Yes,
anyway,
yes, that would be me.
I am doing all right myself. It's been a pretty crazy week. Just a lot of YouTube drama I'm dealing with right now. It's a long story. I don't want to get too deep into it right now, but yeah, just a pretty interesting and long week for me, I guess. And today I just spent the morning just cleaning my very messy room and my messy bathroom and everything around the basement that I can. Just some cleaning before fall comes in and before I curl up for the winter.
Exactly, because, I mean, after that you go into basically busy season for yourself, especially over at your work. So there actually may be a weekend or two where we just don't see you.
Yeah.
Because it's not plausible.
And the times we do, he'll probably have like an IV drip hooked up. Like he'll have the little EKG meter going.
I was actually gonna say he's gonna come in like that one Star Trek episode where like all you can see is the guy's head is be like, "Can you actually understand us?" That's gonna be the Shadow Blazer.
So basically, he'll be the original Admiral Pike.
Yes, the original. That's right, the original Admiral Pike. So let's go ahead and get into the stories this evening, because we've got lots to go over, and we've got plenty of suggestions from you guys, as well as stories that these yahoos, as well as myself, were able to find throughout the deep recesses of the internet. And of course, we're starting things off with a company that I try not to talk about on the podcast, because it gets me in trouble sometimes, mainly with the panelists. But this one was too good to ignore. So if you haven't been playing Overwatch, which is entirely possible, I know a lot of strictly console gamers follow us, and they aren't willing to pick up Blizzard games just because Blizzard is predominantly known on the PC. But if you haven't been playing Overwatch, well, I'm actually kind of surprised by that too because of the popularity. But if you have been, then you've probably had this problem happen to you within the battlegrounds or within the matches that you can have, which is occasionally trolls make their way in there. Trolls are an unavoidable concept of the internet. And as a retaliate, so a lot of them would have this ongoing habit of when they would leave, because I actually can't, I've never seen this actually happen when I played, but your opponents can actually go into your open chat and just go GG easy, basically saying, good game, it was so easy to beat you, kind of thing. Well, Blizzard got tired of that and decided to fight back. And they fought back in a really cool and unusual way by basically making it, if you type in GGEZ in your chat log, not /GGEZ, if you type in GGEZ, you will get specific emotes that will go into the chat to kind of belittle you and make sure that you don't troll the chat. So, for example, these are some of the things that will actually happen if you type in GGEZ. Well played! I salute you all! For glory and honor, huzzah, comrades! I'm wrestling with some insecurity issues in my life, but thank you all for playing with me. It's past my bedtime. Please don't tell my mommy. Gee whiz, that was fun! Good playing! I feel very, very small. Please hold me. Now, I've actually seen some people retaliate on this and say, Blizzard, you did a bad because now you're basically making them look idiotic and childish, and you're better than that. And technically, that's true. But here's the thing. Trolls exist in all ages and sizes. And so, frankly, I have no problem with mucking them into not trolling anymore. And this is one of the great ways to be able to do it. This actually coincides also with them starting up the new silence penalty within World of Warcraft that I've been seeing slowly starting to work that way through, which is basically if you say things offensive and enough people report you, then you are silenced for, I think the first one is 12 hours. And then the more you do it, you actually get a stiffer penalty. So first one's 12 hours, then the second one would be 24, 48, so on and so forth. But I do like this one for GGEZ. Alex, the Shadow Blazer, you've been giggling this entire time. What is your thoughts on this clever way to handle the trolls in Overwatch?
It's good on Blizzard. It's clever. I hope they can expand it to the more lower brow forms of speech. I'm not talking like itty-bitty swear words. I'm talking like the really low-brow shit that goes on sometimes with trolling.
Or intentionally misspelling them to get them out there.
Yeah, I can say it's pretty clever that Blizzard was able to come up with this and find a way to really work on it to essentially give trolls a taste of their own medicine at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, and I think that's really what they're trying to do. I know that a lot of people want them to go like 10 steps further and actually do what you're actually saying. Like, if somebody curses, then they should get banned or whatever. That's why in a lot of cases they put on the maturity filter or the mature filters. But one of the things I like about Blizzard is that they are letting you speak your mind, and they're also letting the fans say they don't like you speaking your mind, and therefore don't want to do anything with you anymore.
It's not so much the cursing I'm worried about. Like, I mean, people say curse words all the time. It's more when we start getting into the really, really.
I'm talking more along the lines of like, I'm gonna go over to your house and rape your grandmother or something like that. And
yeah, more like that kind of shit that goes on. It's like if you want to say damn,
I said that on the podcast. I apologize, but that's the example I'm trying to give.
Yeah, it's just an example. So, I think. And I know some people are going to be like, oh, Blizzard, you're being too sensitive. Maybe, but it is their product, and, well, therefore they should be able to regulate it how they see fit.
Well, I mean, one thing that we've been dealing with throughout this year is whether or not Blizzard is sensitive enough. I mean, they've been dealing with shutting down private servers. They've been dealing with a literal butt issue.
Mm-hmm.
They've been dealing with GGEZ as well as cheaters on Overwatch and numerous other issues. So it's just one of those things that I've always felt that Blizzard is more in the 50-50 when it comes to these kinds of things, because I can't honestly tell you how they'll handle it. But I have liked what they've been doing thus far. Romney, your thoughts on GGEZ?
Well, it's definitely an interesting reaction to basically kind of have a little fun with the people who try to, make the experience a little less fun. But just seeing some of the comments of people complaining about it, they're more or less hoisting themselves by their own petard, for lack of a better term.
Oh yeah, no, you're talking about the articles in the comments in the article.
Yeah,
they're great.
Yeah, I mean it's just funny because it's just like they're basically complaining about all the same things, and I'm just thinking you're only making the case stronger for yourself. And a lot of people think, oh, but they're stifling free speech. But, well, as we've explained on the show numerous times, free speech just means the government can't come after you. But a private company maintaining the server can do whatever the hell they want, and you can't do diddly, except for not play the game, and that's it.
It's one of those things where, like, I've seen this discussion happen with the player ban in World of Warcraft, where everybody's like, well, that's banning free speech. You can't do that. Well, here's the problem, though, is that people are paying $15 a month to be able to get into a wholesome gaming experience, and you're kind of wrecking it. And Blizzard doesn't want you to wreck it. So they're basically incentivizing you by saying, don't say this crap anymore, trying to get the toxicness out of their games, which it does exist. I mean, there's toxicness in Heroes and Overwatch and all of them. They're trying to slowly get rid of it.
Yeah, but basically, to basically reiterate, this is why you read the EULA and the TOS, people.
Yes.
This is why you read those documents, because, well, by playing the games and signing up for the service, you agree to play by Blizzard's rules, and, well, if they want to take a phrase that a lot of people use to say good game, easy win, and make you look like an idiot, you gotta be prepared to accept that as a condition of playing their games. So I'm sorry, but that's just reality, because Blizzard's the one paying to maintain the servers, they're the ones who made the game, and you cry about free speech all you want, but it's a private company with a private server, you agreed to the terms of service, so deal with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Either basically deal with it or don't play. Those are your only options.
I mean, that's the thing, is like, in essence, when you first pay, let's make this simple, like for Overwatch. If you want to play that, your payment for it is the $60 that you paid for the game. Mm-hmm. If you don't agree with what they're doing, then you don't pay the $60 for the game. That's the basic way that they make it work. You can decline the EULA and not play the game, but you've still paid the $60. So it's just one of those things. If you don't agree with it, you don't have to pay. If you don't like how they're doing things in World of Warcraft, you don't have to pay the $15 a month. That's your choice in the matter. So final thoughts before we move on into the next story, because I don't want to flood things with Blizzard stuff. Otherwise, I'm going to start talking about Legion, and I don't want to stop talking about. I can't start talking about Legion. I can't do it. It's like 3 days away, people. I can't do it. I'm already in that mindset.
Yeah, it's just funny how, I mean, at least Blizzard's kind of, I mean, they're not necessarily taking the high road, but at least they're actually like saying, okay, we'll still let you play. We're just gonna make it so that way by typing the phrase you want to type, you're gonna end up, well, making yourself look like a dumber person. Now, some people are already trying to get past the filter, and well, yeah. Blizzard can only keep up with so much, but hey, at least they're trying to make it into something funny and enjoyable rather than bringing out the ban hammers.
Which is usually how Blizzard tries to react, is they try to find a funnier solution in their games before they start going to the administrative solutions.
And it's kind of funny because they're like other examples people are mentioning in the comments. This is by a user named NetShark, who says that he had something similar when he had a Half-Life server he managed, and basically it would replace the words, and in addition to replacing the words for talking trash, with his phrase being getting llamaed, he would also have it where people would get turned into chickens for trash talking.
Nice.
So, be glad Blizzard isn't turning you into a chicken.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, they could.
They could. It's within their power, and I definitely would want to see that if someone does that in the middle of a match where try to.
Never mind. I want to see that in WoW, because there actually is an ability to be able to turn somebody into a sheep. I want to see like somebody come out of nowhere and turn you into a sheep.
Now I can just go for some.
You saw the Warcraft movie. That's legit. You can polymorph. Or you could turn him into a cute little kitty.
Now I can just go for some. Now I can just go for some wall chicken right about now.
If only that existed in WoW. Moving on. If I don't move on, it's going to be Legion talk, and I don't want to do that to you guys. So we're going to move on into a bunch of Nintendo talk. Nintendo talk will probably dominate this entire hour, because there's a lot of stuff that we actually need to go over, and all of it's tiny stories. But first, I hinted at this before, and Romney wasn't here. We have a bonus story that came in from a listener that they wanted our opinions on. Unfortunately, a couple of our panelists aren't here, but I know that in particular a couple are that they wanted their opinions on. So I'm going to go ahead and link this into the chat, or link this into our chat, and also then into the live chat, so you guys can enjoy it too. Oh wait, no, is that it? No, that's not. Okay, never mind. Give me a second.
Yeah. Drac doesn't always know how to post the right links, people.
No, I don't. Well, the problem is that things get stuck in the clipboard. There we go. So there is the story.
Oh, for crying out loud.
I already knew that was going to be Rodney's reaction. So, sorry guys, it's really bad allergies today. That and the giggling doesn't help. So, a listener brought this to my attention over the weekend and wanted us to talk about it specifically because we've been talking about nothing but Pokemon the last couple of weeks. And it turns out that a local restaurant in Sydney, Australia, is having runaway success via Pokemon. Specifically, Poke Burgers. So at this restaurant, and actually they've had reps go out for IGN and a couple of others, like an Australian representative went out and actually tried these things. So at this local restaurant, you can get three different versions of a poke burger. And it's a regular hamburger, people, except with specific toppings, things like that. And also the bun is colored like you would get at Burger King. And you also get a cute little Pokemon face there. So you can feel just great when you bite into him and murder him. So the first one that we go over is, and you can actually see the picture via the story. So there's a Pikachu, which is just the basic kind of burger. The only main difference that they did with this one is they added fries into it. So it's like the Carl's Jr. burger out there where they put fries in it. And they also take like toasted tortilla chips and put that on the bun for the little Pikachu ears. There is the Bulbasaur, which is, and a lot of people actually got this wrong. They thought it was a veggie burger. So like even the patty was like vegan friendly and stuff like that. No, it's a regular burger, except they've added like a portion of a salad into it and even put in like salad dressing and stuff like that. And to compensate for the little bud on every Bulbasaur, they put a little thing of broccoli in the bun that everybody takes out. And they've even admitted that everybody takes that thing of broccoli out of the bun.
Of course I do.
So much for being healthy. And then finally there is the Charmander, which is basically just their spicy burger. It's a burger with hot sauce, I think, on it, and also nacho cheese and bacon and stuff like that. So, yep, those are the Poke Burgers. Alex, I'm going to go to you first. Your thoughts on the Poke Burgers.
Well,
and also, as per the listener's request, which one would you try?
God, these look delicious. I want one right now. Yeah, God damn it. Why does this have to be in Australia? They really do. They look so good.
They look too cute, but yet you have to eat them. You have to clean your plate, Forlorn Hope. You have to clean your plate.
They look too cute to eat indeed. And, God, they look so delicious. I think, personally, I would love to go for the Pikachu burger. That one looks like the most appetizing one for me. I can't do spicy very well, so I probably wouldn't go for the Charmander burger. And I don't know what else is in the... I'm not big on onions, so I doubt I'd go for the Bulbasaur burger, but I don't know. Yeah. I might even try... I would probably try them all at least once, but definitely the Pikachu burger looks the most appealing for me personally. And where were these awesome creative people when I was getting into Pokemon and I was super, super hardcore?
I know it's one
they
of those
things. They were probably still children. To answer your questions, they were still children.
The thing also to consider is like, this wasn't a chain that came up with this idea. This was a local like mom and pop restaurant that did, and they're having runaway success with it. Yeah. So, especially with the people that are actually outgoing, they've admitted they've had plenty of people who do Pokemon Go who come in and try out the Pokemon burgers. In fact, they've even admitted that they've run out of the necessary supplies for them numerous times because of that. Like, they don't order the stuff in big supply, and they keep running out. Romney, your thoughts on the burgers, and also which one would you try?
Well, honestly, I'm not someone who normally eats burgers. I mean, the Bulbasaur, it's hard to tell if it... Okay, that is a burger. I thought the angle made it look like a chicken patty almost, but yeah, I don't really eat burgers, but they do look kind of cute. I just have to wonder why Squirtle gets no love. I mean, you've got Bulbasaur, you've got Charmander, and I understand people like Pikachu, but where's the love for Squirtle? I'm a Squirtle guy.
See, what I'm actually worried about is, like, the reason they didn't do a Squirtle was because they wanted to do, like, a seafood burger. And I'm actually one of those kids that did try the McLobster back in the day. Don't do that.
Well, I wouldn't. Well, that was a McDonald's. I wouldn't. This would be a local.
Local store. And keep in mind, it wouldn't necessarily have to be seafood because Squirtle isn't necessarily an ocean Pokemon. He's just a water type. So I'm sure there would be some other way to like get the blue color, or even go for the contrast where you make the toppings look more like the shell, like Squirtle's shell, than trying to make it look like just blue. So.
Yeah, you could do that. I don't know what necessarily you would add in that wouldn't be sea related, because that's the thing, is that they tried to go with the themes of the Pokemon. Granted, Pikachu, it's more of a catchphrase, because I guess the cook was actually quoted as saying, well, yeah, we did stay with it because there's fries in it. Don't worry, it'll fry you.
Yeah, but as for which one I would eat, I'll be honest, to me, they don't look particularly appetizing. And keep in mind, this is coming from someone who doesn't eat burgers. I don't eat beef. That's just kind of how things play out. I tried a burger once, but my stomach just couldn't handle it. But I mean, at least it's smart of them to like jump on a trend when they see it. I just worry if whether or not Nintendo's going to try to shut it down or not.
That's actually kind of my worry too, is that Nintendo's going to get wind of this and say we want royalties. Which I kind of hope they don't do, because again, this is just a little mom and pop shop, and it's kind of a runaway idea. Although I'm actually going to, before I go into mine, I'm going to expand on this idea. Do we actually see like major chains grabbing onto this and doing it?
Well,
not a major chain.
Here's my response to that. If McDonald's in Japan can make a Batman burger, anything's possible.
I forgot they did that. Yeah.
Yeah, they did that, and there's literally a whole restaurant. I don't know which Southeast Asian country does it, but there was like a restaurant that all of their meals were themed around DC superheroes. So you had like stuff modeled after Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, the basic Trinity. But again, it was either McDonald's or Burger King Japan. One of them literally made the Bat Burger, and that was kind of the precursor to the whole dyed black Whoppers that made everybody's poop green a couple of years ago. But yeah, if a major chain, yeah, basically if a Batman burger is possible, it's not out of the realm of possibility. The real question is which chain is going to fork out the money to try to snap up the license.
Exactly. So my pick on the burgers. So I will admit I looked at these for quite a while, and I'm actually at a tie between the Pikachu and the Charmander, because I do like spicy stuff, but I would want to go and ask if there's like a mild version of it, because I'm not saying that I can't do spicy, but in the middle of the night, spicy ain't fun for anybody. And so at that point, I would either try the Pikachu or the Charmander. That's my pick. We even have some chat ones. Charmander would be my pick, says Forlorn Hope. That's awesome. I would love to see what you guys actually would pick for your Poke Burger. And let's go ahead and move on into the next Nintendo story, which was kind of an update tonight. A while ago, we reported that Nintendo was looking to sell the Seattle Mariners. Well, since then, they have sold them, and they have netted $661 million in the sale. So at that point, unfortunately for poor Aldo, if he goes to the Mariner Stadium, he can no longer get the Wi-Fi for his Pokemon. Sorry, man. I'm sorry. The other thing
they still have a 10% stake in it, so who knows? Maybe.
Yeah. So I'm actually trying to look up the company that bought it in the story. I should have this like written down somewhere, but let's see. Yeah, I've got that they netted $661 million for it, and I actually did get somebody going, I didn't even know they owned a baseball team. Yeah, we went over this a couple of months ago. A lot of people didn't realize this, but yeah, that happened. Yeah. So I guess our thoughts on the matter are great, good on you, because, I mean, here's the thing. Nintendo has $661 million to work with now. I don't know what they're going to do with it, but they have $661 million to work with now. So, I mean, do we see this as being an overall bad decision? Is it a good decision as far as we're concerned?
Honestly, looking at this, I'm thinking it's not even so much, they're specifically selling it to raise money. I mean, at least I hope it's not that they're that dire. They're probably thinking, okay, well, we obviously have to rethink what financial investments we're making, which ones are actually going to help us in the long run, and with something like owning the Seattle Mariners, a baseball team, I can kind of see why Kimishima would think, okay, I understand that Yamauchi, like that President Yamauchi bought this team because baseball is still pretty big in Japan.
Yeah.
But I can understand his thinking, like, okay, let's maybe sell off some of our stake to it, so that way we're not sinking a lot of money into this team, because we need to kind of streamline a few things. And so that's kind of what this looks like to me, is that it's not like completely like we're leaving it because it's not working. It's just more like, okay, well, let's reduce how much control we have, so that way a majority of the money is not coming from us.
I would actually dare say that one of the main reasons that maybe they're doing this is kind of like what you're saying, is they're preparing themselves for maybe what could be a potentially bad reveal for the NX. I don't think that's necessarily what they're doing. I think they're just taking the business sense of being prepared for any possible situation, and the $661 million helps them to do that. Especially considering, I don't even think Nintendo of America, I think we confirmed with Aldo, does do things at that stadium, but like Yamauchi-san hasn't been there in a long time, and I don't think
Well, it's
Iwata
'cause
went there.
Well, it's
because
because
it's dead.
Yamauchi-san is dead, so...
No, I'm saying when they actually owned it, I don't think they actually went there. And then
Yeah, I think that is true. I don't think he ever attended a single game, even though he owned it.
yeah, so
We'll
I
figure
mean,
that.
Well, yeah, and again, you'd be surprised what kind of companies actually have stakes in a lot of various sports teams. I mean,
Mhm.
for example, Level 5 literally sponsors a soccer stadium that you can in Japan called the Level 5 Soccer Stadium. And so it's kind of a case that it's more or less kind of like investing in the stock market, where it's like, okay, I'm going to invest some of my money in this sports team and basically get a small return on people who go to the stadium, buy the concessions, to basically go out and support the sports team. It's very much like making an investment in a side venture without having it be your main business.
yes. So I mean, overall,
Uh,
I think it's actually a good idea for them to do it. It just gives them that little bit of extra money to be able to work with. Sorry, Alex, I interrupted you.
Yeah, you were wondering who actually bought it. According to a commenter here, the buyer was John Stanton, former Western Wireless Corporation founder CEO, which is Cellular One, VoiceStream, later purchased by Deutsche, I don't know, Telecom AG, renamed T-Mobile, uh, and a minority owner of the team purchased majority stake in the team. So there you go.
Aside from, yeah, that happened, and yeah, it might actually be a good decision for Nintendo down the road, just to be able to streamline some things and get some extra revenue in, to be able to handle maybe some big reveals, stuff like that. The next story that we're actually going to be talking about is that we're going straight into NX coverage, because we now have another confirmed title and confirmed third party that's going to be joining NX, and that is Square Enix with Dragon Quest X and Dragon
11.
Quest 10 is also now
11.
confirmed.
Really? They slated that as well?
I just barely checked. Dragon Quest X and Dragon Quest 11 are both confirmed for NX. So, but this story is specifically concerning Dragon Quest 11, which is the MMO, I believe, isn't it?
10 is the MMO.
10 is the
because-
MMO.
Yeah,
Okay.
which I don't know what is it with Square thinking, oh, well, we need to turn all of our major classics home console RPG series into frickin' MMOs.
Because MMOs did well at one point. It doesn't necessarily mean they're doing well now.
Yeah.
But Square Enix is literally looking that way. But they have confirmed it for the NX. It's also going to be getting a simultaneous launch with PS4 and 3DS. So you have plenty of ways to be able to get Dragon Quest XI. But this is yet another title to add to the very short list of confirmed NX games. And by short, I mean literally short. We have, and I just barely brought up the list of confirmed ones. Confirmed ones. Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Just Dance 2017. Yes, because Ubisoft has to have something. The holiday 2017 Sonic game is confirmed. Dragon Quest X and Dragon Quest XI. That's what's confirmed for the NX right now. That's a really short list, people, and there's not many. Like, one of the things I'm at least glad about this list, there's only one first-party title in it. So at that point, I can almost dare say a majority of this is third-party. That's a step in the right direction. I don't know. So, Alex and Romney, your thoughts on Dragon Quest XI joining the confirmed NX titles?
Well, having never played Dragon Quest myself, I can't really comment much further on that, but I think it is good. I mean, Nintendo has really lacked a lot in the RPG department since the N64 days, and I know that was a huge, huge appeal for people who had the SNES. There was a lot of RPGs at their disposal that they could play, so having a good, solid RPG to set off with, and yeah, seems like such a good idea, though I don't know about Dragon Quest, because I don't believe Dragon Quest has been very successful in the West, has it?
It hasn't. Like, it's had moderate success, but not on the level of, say, Final Fantasy, or even some of the more Western RPGs like Elder Scrolls and so on and so forth. And I think it's also a pretty good win for Nintendo, because what a lot of people may not realize that, yeah, Dragon Quest, moderately successful, but not really as a big a success as Square Enix would hope stateside, but in Japan, it is one of those really huge franchises that when a new game comes out, people will call in sick to work, people will skip school to play it, so much so that the Japanese government literally mandated that they have to release a new installment on a weekend, so that way they don't have a bunch of people calling in sick to work to play it. And so it is literally a case where, okay, they've netted a really big, really popular RPG franchise on their new console. Now, it going multi-platform might hurt their chances a little bit, especially, I mean, NX, PS4 I can kind of see, but then also doing 3DS, I'm getting kind of a Ni no Kuni vibe with where it might be a completely different experience, kind of like how in Japan Ni no Kuni was on DS and PS3. And as someone who has played Dragon Quest, now I haven't played Dragon Quest X because, well, not available here because the MMO structure just doesn't work for the US market. But as someone who actually is a bit of a fan of the franchise, first one being 8, then I went back and played 5, then also played 9, I'm definitely kind of excited, but it's very much a case of, well, I'm excited at the prospect, but it's all not going to really matter until I actually see, say, a trailer or even know what the NX is supposed to be or even how it'll play on 3DS, because it's like, yeah, they've netted this franchise. What is any of this stuff going to look like?
Truth be told, I mean, I have no problem admitting this. I'm more excited for the fact that Dragon Quest VII is coming out to the 3DS, and I'm only excited for that simply on the basis of, yay, I finally get to play all of the Dragon Quest games and not have to worry about, paying $200 for an old version of the PlayStation game. So I'm a little bit more excited for that, mainly because I don't know a whole lot about 11. So at that point, I'm pretty sure we'll start seeing some trailers for it fairly soon. I mean, the NX is coming out in March, so
yeah,
we'll probably start getting some holiday trailers.
Yeah, and keep in mind, Dragon Quest has been one of those franchises that's had its ups and downs, where they've tried various spin-offs, some that have been very successful, like Dragon Quest Monsters and more recently Dragon Quest Heroes, but then you have some duds like Dragon Quest Swords. And so it's very much like Final Fantasy as well. It's a franchise that doesn't exactly have a perfect track record, but the difference between Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy is that while Final Fantasy tries to reinvent their system with each installment, Dragon Quest prides itself on being the classic old-school style RPG. That is, they basically try to refine that old-style system, but they don't really add anything new aside from something that functions within the already existing interface.
Well, that's also one of the things I remember very clearly when Tokyo RPG Factory was announced. A lot of people actually speculated that their Dragon Quest team was going to become Tokyo RPG Factory. That's not the case. I do know that a few people from that team kind of oversee some of the development at Tokyo RPG, but they're still doing their own thing. But it's a logical assumption to make because Dragon Quest, you said it exactly right. Where Final Fantasy tries to innovate from the formula, and even Kingdom Hearts does to an extent, Dragon Quest tries to stay as familiar as possible. To the classic JRPG style.
Yeah, and that's particularly because, and I think the big difference is that while all the people behind Final Fantasy have since left, Yuji Horii is still there, still the main guy behind the franchise, and he has very much a standard of quality he tries to adhere to. Plus, especially when they go mobile,
he's been there since 1, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's been there from the very first beginnings of Enix. So it's very much a case where. It's very much a case where that's what they pride themselves on because they know that that's what fans like, especially with their more portable installments. They try to structure it as such that way, okay, well, we know people are going to be playing this on the train or on the bus, basically on public transit, and so we don't want something that's super complicated. We want something that is nice, simple, familiar, so that way they can just enjoy the world that we're letting them explore. Now, 9 tried to deviate a little bit, which is why I'm a little upset that 10's an MMO, because I'm thinking, they're copying Final Fantasy, because just give it a separate name. Don't make it part of the...
Square Enix. They were going to do an MMO at some point.
Well, yeah, but the thing is, it bothers me because I'm just like, just have it be a spin-off. Don't give it a main number title. I mean, I was frustrated back when Final Fantasy XI was announced, so I'm just like, just call it a spin-off. Don't give it a main number title.
It's one of those things that as a Final Fantasy fan you get frustrated because 2, not 1 anymore, 2 Roman numeral titles are MMOs. And so at that point it's like, oh, well, that's great and all. I like the fact that you're doing that, but when we think of Roman numeral entry, we think involving story and things like that. And with an MMO that's ever expanding, and if it's not successful enough that it doesn't expand at all, that's always a worry.
I mean, especially if you're someone like me who doesn't have a very stable internet connection and can't really play MMOs. And this is from a frustrated Mabinogi player who tried to really get into Mabinogi because I was interested in the idea, but my internet connection was so spotty that I just had to give up. I couldn't plan anything. I couldn't join any like parties and be like consistent because of that. And so, but anyway, I can see why Nintendo would be excited to get to net a franchise like Dragon Quest. And from what I've looked into it, both Square Enix have a fairly good relationship with Nintendo, which is why they're open to the idea of working with them. Because, I mean, with Final Fantasy, it stuck with Nintendo consoles all the way up to 6 and only had to jump ship because of the hardware. NX tried staying on for a little longer until it had to jump ship for the same reason, but they still made games for Nintendo consoles that just had to be scaled back.
Yeah, exactly. So, Alex, have you given your opinion? I don't think you have.
I did. Okay. I gave my opinion.
The only thing that actually worries me about this, and it's just because I actually had to confess when I first started the YouTube channel, I was a Final Fantasy fanboy, didn't play Dragon Warrior. Like, we played Dragon Warrior, but we weren't Dragon Quest fans in my family, and now I have to deal with a bunch of people going, well, now you have no excuse, you need to play through Dragon Quest, and I'm on 3.
And I'll be honest, I was the same way, and partially what brought me into the Dragon Quest franchise was the fact that they basically stepped things up for the localization of Dragon Quest VIII, where they brought in voice actors to voice the characters, they gave the music a serious upgrade. That's what got me interested and that's definitely a way to ease someone in from Final Fantasy, which at the time, with 10 and 12, had fully voiced stories. And so it was definitely a nice way to kind of ease, hey, you like Final Fantasy? Try this game that's a bit more traditional, and it was a good way to ease yourself into it. And with the portable games for DS and 3D, for the DS, it's definitely a better way to play those classic RPGs that you are just pick up and play rather than actually sitting down and playing it, and that just works better for the US market, which is why the series has done better on mobile consoles than it has on home consoles.
Which I can see why. I mean, that actually is a great idea as far as I'm concerned. So moving on into the next Nintendo story, because it is connected, we brought up the NX, and due to our buddy Brinton, he was actually able to help me track this down. There is now hubbub going on. There's rumors afloating, and some have said they confirmed it, but we're not sure. Nintendo is supposedly scheduling a event in September. Specifically, the only date that I could find that's being speculated was September 21st. And the big speculation is this is the NX launch event, or the NX reveal. So September 21st. That sounds about right, because right now they really need to be getting that hype train flowing for the NX. And so at that point, we would be waiting, another 3 weeks? And then we would finally be able to see the NX. So I'm just going to open up to the panel. Do you think this is... And also to chat, do you think this is legit? Do you think this is going to be when we see the reveal? Or are we going to be waiting still?
Honestly, it could go either way. Looking at the article, it seems that there was some sort of a shakeup where they had their own PR plan, and it's something that Nintendo's probably never going to admit, but the shakeup probably resulted as a result of the announcement of the Xbox One Scorpio and the PlayStation 4 Neo. Basically, these new souped-up systems. I'm thinking, oh, crap, they're actually upgrading an updated version of their system. We need to try to get things out a little bit sooner and try to dial back our big publicity thing if that's what Sony and Microsoft are going to be doing.
Yes. So that's why in a lot of cases I'm thinking they need to do this, because we've gotten tips about the Scorpio, but I don't think we've had an official reveal event yet, and the Neo hasn't been unveiled. So at this point, Nintendo needs to back up for that and say, we need to get the NX out now so that people can start getting excited about it. Alex, your thoughts. Do you think this is legit? Do you think we'll see this in September, or do you think we'll be kept waiting?
God only knows at this point. It's been back and forth with the NX rumors. It's getting a little tiresome. At this point, Nintendo should just do it already, and so we can be done with this already and just know what this godforsaken thing is.
Yeah, or at the very least, they need to start quashing some of the rumors, because I think that's really what's hurting them in the long run, is that they're not openly stating, hey, like here's what I mean, I understand they don't want to reveal everything, but they should at least squish some of the more egregious rumors, just so that they could say, okay, it's not going to be as powerful as this, it's not going to be here's what it can do, here's what it can't do, here's what we're doing, here's not what we're doing, without necessarily saying it, because, well, the rumors are getting out of control.
They are.
Yes.
They really are.
It's like, how long before we hear NX is going to be the next spacecraft and it's going to fly me to Mars? It's like, and even then, I think Nintendo will stay silent on that.
Congratulations, Alex. Now you've started that rumor. Apparently, the NX is a space shuttle.
Well, that would only happen if somehow Elon Musk...
Chat, I want to make popular hashtag NX is a space shuttle.
NX is now a space shuttle.
I want that trending.
Yeah, honestly, though, I think that would only happen if somehow Elon Musk managed to buy Nintendo just right from under everybody's noses that nobody knew, and somehow it's just like, I bought Nintendo, now we're basically having them work with SpaceX.
Yeah, exactly. So I honestly think that it's a good idea for them to do it, but, well, Nintendo's not necessarily well known for doing what's in their best interest. I just think they need to get it out there, especially given the reasons you've given, Romney. There are so many rumors out there that they need to start quashing some of them, and I think the only way they're going to do it, or they're even going to care, is to do the reveal event. So
yeah, I mean, especially when you look at what's been going on with No Man's Sky and how a lot of those rumors kept building up so much expectation that when the final product came out, people were disappointed, and that's because the CEO stupidly didn't quash any rumors and kept not answering any straight questions about any of the things people kept asking him about.
Well, he also kept hyping it up too. Like, I've actually gone back on some of his speeches. He hyped that game up way more than maybe he needed to.
He's basically Peter Molyneux 2.0. But point being, if you don't quash these rumors, then you're basically going to end up with people disappointed when the thing is finally revealed, and that's really what's going to hurt. And all the rumors of, it's going to be as powerful as the PS4. Given Nintendo's policy of trying to have the cheapest console on the market, unless they found some way to really underwrite that kind of development, I don't think it'll be that powerful, because they're going to try to have it be the cheapest on the market, so that way they can appeal to families who's like, hey, you don't want to spend $500 on these new consoles, buy our console. It's like $200 cheaper.
Yeah, well, of course, they also have said we can't perform at a loss. We have to start selling at a profit. Mm-hmm. So there you go. I mean, that just keeps going for this whole back and forth mess we're in.
They've even confirmed that they've made some mistakes in the past, and that they've said we need to do a better job communicating what the NX is and start quelling some of these rumors. Funniest thing, they say that, and then they don't quash any of the rumors. I'm just saying. And then finally, we have one other story based on the NX that is still strictly rumor territory, because again, it's another feature. There's talk that the detachable controllers that are on this console are supposed to be the successors to the Wiimote. I don't have the story in the agenda. I'm actually trying to track it down right now, but they're basically saying that this is going to outmode the Wiimote, and it's going to be much more powerful and much more what they intended the Wiimote to be. So at that point, just given what you guys have heard, your thoughts on it?
I guess it could work. I don't know. I mean, we've obviously had more time for research and development when it comes to kind of motion technology. I'm a little skeptical, though. I wouldn't be surprised if there is maybe some kind of motion functionality to it, because I mean they still have things like Wii Sports and Wii Fit that could easily come back onto the market with such an idea. I don't know.
Yeah, so these detachable controllers will feature motion sensing advanced vibration, and in turn might actually outmode the Wiimote Pluses, because that's the ones that we're running off of now. Here is the actual story for you guys. I personally, here is how I'm handling every feature that gets announced, and so I'm going to sound like a broken record. I will believe it when I hear Nintendo say it at their reveal event. I am done trying to cover every stinking rumor, every stinking patent that gets filed for the NX until we actually know what it is according to the reveal event. I'm not buying anything.
Yeah. That's why I stopped following the rumors myself. It's just like, good grief.
Because they became the problem, and it's not because I'm trying to be lazy or anything like that. Somebody actually did that, say, "Well, you're just being lazy." No, it's not that. It's because there's too many. Rumors are abundant, and unfortunately, seriously, Nintendo could pick their nose and file a patent, and everybody will talk about it. Kind of thing. I'm thoroughly convinced they will, especially when it comes to, they're picking their nose. They mention NX, and then it's everywhere. kind of thing. They could literally do that, and then at that point we have to talk about it. So that's why I'm taking the stance, is that I'm not going to believe anything until there's a legit reveal event to tell me what the system can do.
By the way, I love this comment on the IGN story. It's like, I heard from an unnamed source at Nintendo that the new controller have smell-releasing pheromones, suction cups that adhere to your hands to them. They will occasionally do your laundry while you play. Man, I should write for gaming sites.
I was hoping you wouldn't notice that comment, because that just reminds me of... so, I don't know if you guys actually heard, but with the... I don't know if it's with PlayStation VR or with the Oculus, but there is actually a smelling unit for them now. And somebody was actually telling me that apparently the new South Park game is going to have a smell in it. There is a smell for the fractured butthole.
Leave it to South Park. They'll find a way.
No, leave it to Trey Parker and Matt Stone. They'll find a way to do it. So... Final thoughts before we move on from Nintendo talk. I'm kind of surprised we actually got this done within the hour, because there was lots to cover.
Honestly, I think our hashtag just summarizes it. The NX is a space shuttle.
The NX is a space shuttle. I want that trending, people. So the next story that we have to talk about is more a YouTube video, but it's more YouTube nonsense.
Hooray!
Because YouTube nonsense is a thing. So I'm not remembering all the details right off the top of my head, because I actually watched this earlier on in the week. But basically, a YouTuber who is fairly successful. He's got, I believe his subscribers were in the 6 digits. And so he actually is getting revenue, and he's able to get a fair amount of revenue if his MCN was actually paying him properly. And unfortunately, his MCN, which, Alex, if you could look up the actual name of the place, because I want to actually call him out.
Yeah, I wasn't able to actually find the actual name of the MCN.
Okay.
I couldn't even find the original video, unfortunately, from the video I linked.
So, yes, his MCN is basically screwing him, because magically, when he gets paid, he is getting paid a fraction of what he should be paid according to their interface. When he tries to respond to them, he gets silence until he goes to Twitter. And then he gets basically a PR response. He's like, oh, we'll work on this right away. Month later, same thing happens, nothing from them. And then he goes out to Twitter, and nothing again, and nothing on Twitter. So he virtually has no communication with this company, and he's made it very clear that he wants out of this MCN, and they actually renewed him. They just auto-renewed him, even though he doesn't even remember them bringing up a renewal of his contract or anything like that. They just auto-renewed him so they could continue to get his revenue. This is just a bullcrap situation all around. Let's just go. I'm going to go ahead and link the YouTube video. I don't normally like to do that, because I want you guys on my videos. Heaven forbid. But
there's this wonderful function called Watch Later.
Yes, exactly. There's a Watch Later list. Overall, when I saw this story, it just pissed me off. It's one of those things that I've been told numerous times to be wary about MCNs, because here's the thing. My channel's gotten a couple of offers from MCNs. MCNs that I had no knowledge of, couldn't look up, couldn't do any kind of research on whatsoever, so you can be fairly obvious on the matter. I didn't go with them. And it makes me feel bad for this kid, because, well, I'm not saying that I would like his content. Most of it's mobile Minecraft stuff, but you know, if he's earning a certain amount of subscribers and therefore a certain amount of revenue, he should be getting that revenue. And they're not giving a legit reason for him to get that full revenue. I mean, if there were bills that had to be paid throughout all of that, like you had to pay a royalty to the MCN for their covering your stuff and all of that, then that's fine. But he's not getting anything. And it certainly wouldn't be the amount that he's being shafted for. Not at all. And what makes it worse is that it's technically shafting his family, because he actually helps out with some of the family expenses. So, sucks to be his family, apparently. It's one of those things that I really hope that YouTube kind of steps in at some point to say, oh yeah, this is completely shady, and we're not going to acknowledge your affiliation with this MCN anymore.
Yeah, the sad part is, though, I mean, it's the classic snake oil salesman, but really, although YouTube could, in its power, say, oh, we're not going to acknowledge it, well, it's very much a case of, oh, if you're presented with a contract and you sign it, you're pretty much SOL because, well,
Yep.
you signed it. Because I've been propositioned by MCNs as well, and some of them I have been able to look up, but oftentimes I look them up and I see a lot of the horror stories, or they haven't existed for very long, or basically like back and forth. I've seen a lot of these various like MCNs try to basically scam me. The only difference is that in my experience, I've been a little bit more savvy because I've seen even other friends of mine who are YouTubers get ripped off by these creeps, and so sadly, it's a peril of the industry. You've got snake oil salesman coming along saying, "Hey, I can make your videos super famous and make you rich. You just got to sign this there. Don't bother reading it. Just sign it."
Here you go. So the user that we're talking about in particular is YouTube user Heretic, and that's HEROTIC, and then the MCN that he works with is called Content Pixel.
Okay.
So for all of my fellow YouTubers out there, if you get something from Content Pixel saying they want to manage your content, stay away.
Clearly.
Just stay away. Just do it.
Honestly, stay away from most of them unless you're actually able to. I mean, basically stay away from most of them unless you can actually get a contract in writing and actually take the time to read it. Granted, it would mean you more or less. I mean, this would be the extreme example, would be like, say, hiring an attorney who would go over the contract with you and basically make sure they are legit. But more often than not, you've got basically a bunch of these other like MCNs that try to basically grab these unsuspecting YouTubers who have one or two videos that are going viral. I mean, there's literally a whole new group of people now that will just buy the monetization rights to just one video, but they'll be purposefully cryptic and won't tell you which video they're wanting to buy the revenue for. Because like, oh, your video is very valuable. Please contact us. We want to work with you. And I'm just like, what video are you wanting to buy, you idiots? And I've had to block a bunch of those same emails and a bunch of those same people because it gets annoying because I know exactly what they're trying to do. They're basically trying to scam people. So, I mean, if you're a YouTuber that is just starting out, don't think twice before looking at the emails from the MCN and thinking, oh, I'm going to become famous, because more often than not, they have little to no sway and are not the best investment of both your time and money.
Yeah, I mean, if you were... Even the big MCNs, I tend to avoid too, because it's one of those things where they also kind of try and keep you down a little bit. Like they try to manage your content, and try to get kind of breathing down your neck levels of you need to be putting out content so that we can continue to get this revenue. So it's one of those things where I've actually debated on staying away from MCNs. Period. I know that they do create benefits for people, but it's a double-edged sword in a lot of ways, especially when you're dealing with organizations like this. Final thoughts before we move on to the next story.
Yeah, we'll basically take this time to clear. We are not officially an MCN, because I know that's something Adam's been asked about a lot, because that's also a legal thing, it's a tax thing, and it's a real mess to deal with. So basically...
We're not an MCN, and I'm not looking to be an MCN in any way. There's too much paperwork there.
Yeah, too much paperwork. It's a nightmare during tax season. And so really, and honestly, like I've mentioned earlier, if you're a YouTuber starting out and you're getting some moderate success, basically, don't agree to anything right away. I mean, if all else fails, see if you can actually get a phone call. Basically, if you can actually talk to an actual human, and even then, always do research. Like, if you say, oh, we're from such and such company, I mean, the first indicator, if their email is a long string of numbers followed by @Gmail or @Yahoo, that's usually a bad sign.
Yes. So, let's go ahead and move on into the entertainment portion of the evening.
Oh, boy.
Which starts off with a story that I have been getting listener suggestions for. In fact, we've even gotten some stories linked to us via Alex and I think one other about Harambe.
Boy.
I originally didn't talk about Harambe because there really wasn't a whole lot of relevance, and that's saying a lot because the story Alex reported on was the petition to name a Pokemon in honor of Harambe.
All right, let's kind of back things up and kind of explain who Harambe is. Harambe was... Yeah. Basically, Harambe was the name of a gorilla at the Cincinnati Zoo, and what happened is that a 3 or 4-year-old kid got into the gorilla enclosure and got close to Harambe. And Harambe was basically kind of thrashing the kid around, dragging him through the water of the enclosure, and basically just more or less toying with him, although nobody really knows what he was doing. Some people were wondering, was he attacking him? Was he just messing with him because he was curious about what this human was? And things were escalating to a very dangerous degree where even if the gorilla wasn't being malicious, the kid was in danger of dying, and so they had to make the difficult choice of having to basically kill Harambe. Like, they basically had to shoot Harambe and kill him in order to save the child, because that is the sad reality when a kid falls into the enclosures, that, well, it's very easy, especially a young kid whose bones aren't fully developed, whose skull hasn't completely hardened, very easy to die in a place like that. And honestly, a lot of people are still calling for a prosecution of the parents who were a bit neglectful and ended up letting him get in the enclosure. But granted, I don't know the whole story. I don't know what happened. Sometimes, even if a parent is absolutely careful, things happen. And that's where a lot of the drama started, is that the Cincinnati Zoo had to kill Harambe the gorilla in order to make sure the child didn't die, in order to get him out of the enclosure, because they just didn't know, because a lot of people were thinking, because they just didn't have any other choice, because tranquilizers take about 10 to 15 minutes to kick in, and, well, each second that the kid was in the enclosure is
getting flung around and potentially killed.
Yeah, and so that is where this all started, and there was an outpouring of people who were both outraged at the parents, outraged at the zoo, people commenting about the ethicality of zoos in general. There was the initial outrage and outpour from the initial event.
Yes.
But then the internet, in
their infinite wisdom,
and one of their many, many, many insidious antics, decided to turn the fucking gorilla into a meme. I have no other way to say it, because this meme pisses me off to no end.
Well, and here's the thing. I didn't even know the majority of the... I actually learned a couple of details listening to Romney right there on the whole Harambe situation. And I was already getting annoyed by it, because it was reaching levels of publicity that I don't think it should be. I mean, for crying out loud, I've seen posters on Good Morning America. I've seen posters at local sporting events. Posters, for lack of a better term, saying, Harambe, just saying Harambe or Harambe is awesome or something like that. And then we also saw the petition where they wanted to have one of the new Pokemon named in honor of Harambe. Guys, it's Nintendo of Japan. Yeah. They're not going to care.
Well, the thing is, what pisses me off about the petition is that it's not even genuine. They're doing it because it's a joke. They don't give a crap about the gorilla whatsoever. They're just doing it, oh yeah, we should spam them with Harambe, especially with that stupid dicks out for Harambe meme and all that other bullshit. And so, I mean, it'd be one thing if it was like a genuine effort, but no, these people don't give a crap. They're just doing it because they think it's funny. They don't give a damn about Harambe the gorilla. They don't give a damn about animals. They don't give a damn about the actual treatment in zoos. I mean, the ones that do jump on the meme because they actually are arguing against zoos, because they actually believe in it, I have respect for those people, because at least it's coming from an actual place of conviction. But then you got all these other people who think, oh, let's take a Jaden Smith tweet and attribute it to Harambe because that's funny, right? No, it is not. It is not. Please, for the love of God.
Rodney, I'm gonna step in right now and tell you to go get the pillow. I'm just going to tell you to go get the pillow right now, because that's how this is going to end. Moving on. Alex, your thoughts on Harambe?
I mean, I don't have any strong thoughts about Harambe personally. I know there's a whole lot. I don't know a ton about animal behavior. I've heard every which way on the story. I've heard, oh, clearly the gorilla was just playing with the kid, and I'm like, and whatever. I'm not an animal expert, and I don't want to pretend to be one here, so I can't really make a judgment call of, did the zoo do the right thing, did they not? I get it, spur of the moment decision, what can you do? Damned if you do, damned if you don't. So as for the whole memes thing, it is really stupid that people are really that obsessive to make really dumb memes like dicks out for Harambe. I don't get that at all. That's really retarded.
Here's the problem, and I'm starting to become a very strong supporter of this concept. Never let the internet have access to anything serious. They will destroy it, they will meme it, they will Rule 30 for it. And I'm not kidding about that, because the funniest thing is when I was actually looking for stories on Harambe, First thing that came up was about 3 or 4 fan fictions about Harambe.
Where
And
are
not
we
just-
looking
I
exactly?
just did a basic Google search, and these articles came, and these fan fictions came up along with articles that vaguely described what happened in it. And I'm talking vaguely. Like these are one of those things that you watch a TV episode, and it's from each person involved's perspective, and they literally try to make themselves look awesome, and everybody's stupid, kind of thing.
The term
Those
you're looking
kinds of
for is a Rashomon.
Yes, exactly. So at that point, I'm just thoroughly of the opinion you never let the internet get access to anything, because, I mean, if anything, I actually... We never talked about this, but the whole Lion story, I really thought the internet was the last people that needed to be involved with that one, too, because then we never heard the end of it, and therefore I had to swallow who knows how many memes about the Lion and now Harambe on my Facebook feed, or on my Twitter feed.
And it's a real shame because the Cincinnati Zoo's Facebook and Twitter just got bombarded with all of this crap that they've had to basically shut down all of their social media accounts. Not to mention they were kept getting hacked, and it got so overwhelming because, well, as much as people like to think, oh yeah, they're a zoo, they're just for profit, well, a lot of these people that care for these animals do form these emotional attachments, and the pain is still very much present, very much real to them. That's why
and Alex also pointed it out. The Cincinnati Zoo has also come out a couple of times and asked for people to stop doing the Harambe memes. Unfortunately, it's on the internet, guys. That's not going to stop.
Yeah.
But
unfortunately, there's one, and unfortunately, well, there's one trending right now on Twitter.
Of course,
there you go. Yeah. So, unfortunately, Cincinnati Zoo, I can understand you asking, but unfortunately, it's not going to stop. I guess the only way to do it is to just
I would dare say they've
done
it a couple times, so now it's pleading.
Yeah.
That's the unfortunate spot that they're in. Final thoughts on this one before we move on, because this is just a story that causes so much frustration with people.
I think I need the pillow. Yeah, I think my final statement, I'll just need the pillow one last time.
Okay. All right, we're good. So moving on to happier times and happier stories. Actually, not quite. This is another one that's kind of frustrating, but at the same time, and that is that it's officially it's official. Gawker.com is shut down as part of the Univision buyout. So Gawker.com, if you guys did not know, also involves companies like Kotaku, Lifehacker, Deadspin, Jalopnik, I think is how you say that, Jezebel, and our the friendly rival of our story from Engadget, Gizmodo. So Gawker.com has been shut down via the Univision lawsuit. Which I'm trying to bring up the settlement again, but it looks like
$135 million
will hang in the air. So at that point, if you guys were fans of Gawker.com and Kotaku and things like that, well, they ain't no more, unfortunately. And I know that this would especially affect Aldo Gomez of our panel, just because I know that a couple of times he's brought in Kotaku articles. I know he's wanted to write for Kotaku. And it hasn't panned out that way.
Yeah, and to think a lot of the problems all started because of the Hulk Hogan sex scandal. That is literally where a lot of this started, because there was lawsuits that led them to filing to bankruptcy, which is what led to this buyout, which was part of a legal settlement of the lawsuit and bankruptcy court dealings that they were basically embroiled in because people like Hulk Hogan and Peter Thiel were going after them.
I've already gotten a message on this. I'm going to say this right now. No, you're not getting the Hulk Hogan voice tonight. My voice is already hurting because of all the recording that I've been doing. But yeah, I mean, that has completely affected this whole thing. I'm always sad to hear of organizations, whether it be journalism, whether it be media of any kind, shutting down, because I always want to be able to have that moment or have that separate opinion, whether I like it or not. I mean, for crying out loud, I hate 4chan, but 4chan has a right to exist out there. So at that point, I don't ever like to hear about that, but it's one of those things that just is a sad reality. Companies get bought out, companies get sued, lots of things like that happen.
Yep. Although it's still weird, because for those who may not know, Univision, at least I could be wrong, feel free to correct me, anybody who is more informed than I, but I believe Univision is the same, like the Spanish TV network, if I'm correct. That's a subset of NBC Universal, unless
I believe so.
Yeah,
Let me look on that, actually. I think
Let's
you're right.
let's double check that because Univision could also be a separate company.
but yeah, because I know that they're a subset of NBC Universal. No, wait, actually, no, that's Telemundo, separate.
Yeah, sorry, I knew you were on the right track, but I was like, is Univision that it? No.
Yeah,
No, you're
yeah,
thinking of Telemundo.
You are correct. It is the very Spanish network.
yeah, because they've been apparently because Univision has been acquiring other sites like The Onion, The Root, and a lot of other like websites and article sites. And Gawker was just an acquisition as a result of Gawker having to basically sell off certain assets as part of its whole bankruptcy proceedings that were being settled in the New York courts because of the whole lawsuit regarding the Hulk Hogan sex tape. So, yeah, I mean, it's a shame that it's happening, but, well, it's business. I mean, yeah, it could have some ramifications on the future of independent journalism, especially on the internet, but honestly, John Oliver's kind of tackled the topic in a much more eloquent way than I could. But it's very much, it's sad, but, well, this is the industry now.
Exactly. It's sad, but I mean, ultimately, this is the industry as it exists, and while unfortunate, it's just the way things are going to happen. Alex, your thoughts on it before we go to final thoughts?
I guess it goes to show you where you put your sow. So Gawker, it's always been kind of known as a bit of a tabloid site, for lack of a better words, really. It's just, they're maybe tabloid, more TMZ, kind of gossipy sites, so they kind of unfortunately brought their misfortune upon them. I know a lot of people didn't really care for Kotaku. I never had much problems with Kotaku, but I don't know. I've never gone too deep into this, really.
Mm.
I was about to make a joke, but then I realized it's not worth it.
No. All right, so final thoughts before we move on to the next story.
Hopefully the writers can get work at many of the other websites. Who knows, maybe Univision may set up a new site and say, hey, you were writers on Gawker, we have a new site we're setting up. Would you be interested in writing for us? I'm sure, like, given if they at least were smart and have their body of work like saved and like put in their portfolio, hopefully they'll be fine. But, well, that's pretty much all I can say is my thoughts go out to the writers of the site. I may not necessarily agree with their content, but hopefully you'll be able to ply your trade at one of the many other sites existing on the internet.
Okay. So the next story that we have, because I have a feeling we're going to be dipping into the backup stories. It's been a slow week, people. Unfortunately, maybe if we get the NX event, we'll get something bigger, but it's been kind of a slow event. This actually is a story that a listener brought to my attention last week, and we weren't able to get to, which is, I can't even believe I'm saying this. I'm floored that there's another movie. So everybody, get out your cards, because it's time to duel. It's time to go deep into the heart of the cards once again. There is a third Yu-Gi-Oh film called The Dark Side of Dimensions. And the story in particular that we're talking about is that they've officially confirmed that Dan Green and Eric Stewart will be reprising their roles as Yugi Moto and Seto Kaiba. Or as I like to call him, the man of many, many belts. So I guess first things first, I kind of want to bring this up because I don't think we've actually talked about Yu-Gi-Oh! Before except in jokes. So Alex, I know, is a fan of Yu-Gi-Oh! Because him and me have made many a reference to it.
I wouldn't call myself a fan. I mean, I watched it. I did watch it like up until Duelist Kingdom, really. That's about as much as not Duelist Kingdom. I watched to Battle City Tournament. That's about as far as I got in this original series when it was broadcasting here in the U.S.
And yet he didn't review it. YouTube, fix that. And Robbie, you actually...
Yu-Gi-Oh! Clips are notorious for getting taken down.
Oh, yes, they are.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, especially now. Loud. Little Karibos had like numerous strikes, hasn't he, for even using the material?
I mean, especially when you take into account that the company that has the rights to the anime is now owned by Konami, so...
But yeah, little Karibo constantly got shut down every 5 minutes when he started doing Yu-Gi-Oh! Bridge. That's why he just moved to his own website at the end of the day.
Yeah. I was actually going to make the joke, coming soon, the Yu-Gi-Oh! Pachinko machine, because that's probably going to happen.
Thing is, they've already made stuff like that that's in Japan. Thing is, The
Oh,
difference
yeah?
is that, yeah, the thing is, the difference is Yu-Gi-Oh is marketed to kids, and well, kids aren't allowed to go to pachinko parlors, so that's
Nope.
probably not going to happen for legal reasons. But they've made various Yu-Gi-Oh arcade games that you can scan your actual cards in and actually like duel against the computer and stuff like that. And they've made numerous references to other Konami games in the cards. I mean, some of the cards I have, they have like Metal Gear Solid references. I mean, literally, you can summon Gradius as one of the monsters.
Yeah. Yeah, that's part of the Konami acquisition. No, the thing that floored me when this story got referred to me is that they're not only making a new movie, there is still a series out. I don't know if it's here. There's still games coming out on a yearly basis.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like, holy crap, man.
It's still going strong.
It is. So yes, the Dark Side of Dimensions is happening. Now, I was actually leading into something. The movies. Did you actually see them? I don't care if you saw them in the theaters. I'm like the first movie, the second movie, did you see them? And not the little Karibo versions.
No, I don't think I've ever seen any of the Yu-Gi-Oh movies.
I saw Pyramid of Light in theaters, but I have not seen Bonds Beyond Time.
Yeah, I'm kind of there too. I didn't see it in theaters, but I did see the first movie, Pyramid of Light, via DVD, and the only access that I've had to Bonds Beyond Time was actually Little Karibo. So that doesn't count.
Yeah, I remember seeing like trailers they had for Bonds Beyond Time back when 4Kids had their Saturday morning TV block before it was bought up by Saban and then shut down.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw like an ad for it, and I'm just thinking, oh, they're doing that. I mean, I guess it makes sense, sorta. I mean, I lost interest after 5Ds and the whole post-apocalyptic, yet somehow playing card games on motorcycles.
Card games on motorcycles. There you go. We had to do it once.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Although I do have to say, I am actually pretty excited because, well, firstly, this is the movie here. While Pyramid of Light was commissioned by 4Kids and Bond Beyond Time was very much this is actually a story being written by the original mangaka, Kazuki Takahashi, and is basically actually a continuation of the original series, not like tacking on to Arc V or Arc 5 or however it's pronounced, like Arc V or Zexal or anything. It is literally taking place after a few years after the end of the original series. So it's all the same characters, just aged up, and it's the original mangaka working on it, which means it's not just being pushed out for the sake of money. I mean, granted, they're still going to make money, but it's specifically meant to commemorate the 20th anniversary. And so I'm actually pretty excited. I saw the trailer, and I'm just like, ooh, right in the childhood.
Yeah, it's looking fairly good. I believe, and the trailer was hinting at, once again, another classic bout between Kaiba and Yugi, because we always love that stuff. So I mean, obviously, I saw the trailer and immediately went to Hulu to go look at the vast amount of episodes that they have, because that's what it did. It hit me right in the nostalgia zone.
Yep, and honestly, at least with 4K Media, after being bought up by Konami, they're at least handling the franchise a little bit better, where they're not depriving people of the options to actually see the series in the original Japanese. It's just a bit tricky how you can do it, but it's very much a case of, hey, we know there's a lot of purists, we're just going to have it subbed only, because part of the TV Tokyo lawsuit, which I found out only recently, was that, oh, the TV Tokyo lawsuit wasn't because they were mishandling the franchise, it's because they were conspiring with Funimation, and that's why 4Kids got in hot water.
Yeah. But specifically, our thoughts on returning Eric Stewart and Dan Green to their roles, I think it's a great idea, personally. Even if the characters are older, I would love to hear their rendition of an older version of Kaiba and Yugi. Yeah, that would at least be worth it.
Yeah, and looking at the trailer, Kaiba more or less sounds the same, but I know with Dan Green, it's going to be a bit tricky, because you're not going to be seeing Pharaoh, because...
Nope, you're not going to be seeing Yami.
Because the idea is that at the end, I mean, spoiler alert for those of you who really care about spoilers for the original Yu-Gi-Oh! I think the time has passed, but I'm just throwing that out there just in case. At the end of the original series, you have the big duel between the Pharaoh and Yugi as part of the way of basically allowing the Pharaoh to finally pass on. At the end of the duel, he finally remembers his name, which is Atem, and it's literally he passes on, leaves the Millennium Puzzle, and basically gets to move on to the spirit world, for lack of a better term. And so, at this point in the story, you basically have an older Yugi. He's picked up some traits from Pharaoh, but it's very much a case of, this is regular Yugi Muto. It's not, you're not going to see the whole transformation magical girl sequence. You're basically, it's Yugi as himself in this adventure.
Yeah, there's no puberty to go through. He's already past that. I'm excited for it. I will at least look into it when it comes out, because I don't know if it's actually going to hit theaters or not, but I have a feeling it's going to hit streaming at some point. So I'll at least look into it. I wasn't interested in looking into Bonds Beyond Time just because I'm not. I've heard it has a lot of emphasis to the 5D's character, and I'm not interested in him.
Well, yeah.
I might be more interested if there was a focus on, say, Jaden or Yugi, but not on that character.
Yeah, and I mean, it makes sense, sort of, because it was more or less taking the approach of what they do for the Super Sentai series team-up movies, where you have the main character of the current series be more or less the character everyone follows, and the synopsis itself seems interesting. Someone traveling back in time to try to kill Pegasus. Like, okay, that's an interesting story. I can see kind of why. It's just, by that point, I'd already moved on. I mean, I still have my cards. Problem is, most of my cards are either banned or are so weak compared to the cards currently in most decks now that I wouldn't stand a chance unless it was a 2,000-point duel.
Exactly. So, Shadow Blazer, your thought, like, will you actually see this movie? Would you be interested enough to be able to go see this movie and see what they do with it?
Probably not, because, like I said, I stopped watching Yu-Gi-Oh! Somewhere in the middle of Battle City Tournament, that arc anyway. So I'm nowhere up to date on Yu-Gi-Oh! And certainly don't have the time to catch up on the last 10 years of material.
Exactly.
So, I mean, who knows, this movie might be completely standalone, but I don't know that, so I doubt I'm going to go out of my way to go see this new Yu-Gi-Oh! Movie.
It's Yugi versus Kaiba. You've seen Yugi versus Kaiba.
Well, the thing is, there's also a new villain, because with stories like these, there's always a new villain introduced. And honestly, in my case, I'm really excited. I hope they do a theatrical thing, because I definitely do want to see this in theaters. Because it looks, and again, I'm excited because you have it's a story from the original mangaka, so it's not going to be, like what they do with Gundam every so often, where it's like, oh, let's just cram something out for the toys. This is very much, okay, this is someone who wrote the characters, who created the characters, telling a story, and it's literally a time skip, so I don't think you'll have to worry too much about getting too caught up, Alex. I mean, honestly, you would just need to watch the last 2 episodes, which is just the duel between Yugi and Atem, and everything will just make sense, because that's literally all you would need to watch just to get up to speed. But even then, I'm thinking they're going fairly standalone, given that it's a time skip, 20-year anniversary. They're probably not necessarily expecting a lot of people to be super up-to-date on the canon, now that they're a good 5 or 6 series down the road away from the original storyline.
Yep. So final thoughts before we move on into one of the other backup stories that we have.
Nope.
It's time to duel. Look deep into yourself and find the heart of the cards. Let them guide you.
Did I just kill a gay clown?
Draw a tattoo on all of your hands. There you go.
La 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 la.
Thanks for destroying my composure there, Romney. So the next story that we actually have was one that Romney tracked down, and that is that a Batman cosplayer has earned a spot in the Guinness World or Book of World Records.
Mm-hmm.
So Romney, would you like to take over and explain this story?
All right, let me track it down on the Facebook page real quick. But the general gist of it is that you have an Irish special effects artist. Now, this is separate from visual effects. These are guys who work specifically in practical effects. And he created a Batman costume. And the reason it's in the Guinness Book of World Records is because it has the most functional parts, like the most functional gadgets in a single costume. So it's a Batman costume modeled heavily after what you see in the Arkham Asylum games. And he literally made functional gadgets, 26 gadgets in total, that actually function as they are as intended. Well, give or take a few dramatic liberties, and they are all part of the costume. And that's what allows it to be in the actual Guinness Book of World Records, because in order to get the most functional pieces of a cosplay costume, they have to be integrated into the suit. I'm trying to find the official term here. Let's see, where is it? Let's see. Yeah, it's a little bit tricky because I'm having to go through a site, and it gets a bit messy. Okay, here it is.
Here's the link.
Most functional gadgets on a cosplay suit. And in order to get this, you have the gadgets have to be integrated into the costume, which this cosplayer managed to do so. And to give you the full list of the gadgets he actually created and integrated into the costume, you have a fireball shooter, gauntlet video screens, 2 of them, a bat tracking beacon, beacon, a bat side projector, a folding batarang, a grapnel gun, a cowl respirator, a pneumatic tranquilizer gun, an ultrasonic anti-dog device, a bat shuriken ×4, a UV lamp, ball bearing grenades, gauntlet flashlight, a medikit, battery pack, laser designator, bat cam, strobe stun gun, gas dispenser, 2 smoke bombs, the bat flask, a concealed laryngeal microphone, and a 2-way radio.
Is there a bat credit card?
No, because this is Arkham
Then it
Origins.
officially fails. There's no bat credit card.
Well, it's because this is the Arkham Origins suit, not the Joel Schumacher suit. And in the video that Guinness put out, you actually see him actually demonstrate each of the gadgets that are part of his costume, and that's the key thing. They're all part of his costume, and they all, for lack of a better term, actually work, except for the ones that would actually be that would be dangerous, like the grapnel gun, or the actual gas emitter that in universe would emit an actual toxic gas to basically stun people, but just emits the CO2 gas.
Yeah, I mean seriously, this guy built this suit to be Batman. I mean that's literally what he did here. He built this suit to be Batman.
Mm-hmm.
And it's both cool and also kind of intimidating at the same time.
Yeah, basically the special effects. He's a creature effects expert by the name of Julian Checkley, who lives in Ireland, and he basically made this costume to look exactly like the costume from Arkham Origins and has all of those gadgets, and literally took the time to actually make sure that most of them actually did what they intended to do, and that's what makes it so amazing. I mean, if you look at the actual video that they put out, you actually see it tested out. He explains what he went through to actually make sure that the gadgets actually worked, and so, yeah, I mean, if he wanted to, he probably could have become the real Batman, but yeah, because even the Bat Tracker, it's not even like a fake one. It can actually track a vehicle via Bluetooth. That's what's so amazing.
I'm kind of surprised this guy didn't actually, make a receptor or something like that to work with his car and basically make his car into a Batmobile, because it sounds to me like he had, he could have expanded this into, converting his vehicle into the Batmobile, or converting a jet ski into a bat boat kind of thing, and making it even better.
Yeah, honestly, if Tesla's become the major car across the world, he very well could have, because those do have their auto-driving capabilities. It's just most cars don't have that functionality yet, but who knows? Maybe that'll be in the next couple editions of Guinness down the line, where someone will make an actual Batmobile that responds and comes to the driver.
Yeah, holy crap, man. Alex, your thoughts on this Batman cosplayer's Guinness Book of World Records costume of Batman?
Slow clap for the man, because that's a lot of dedication. And
Can we all just do it right now? Applaud for your fandom, man. I'm clapping loudly, but my daughter's right at the other end of the wall. But holy crap, man, this is fandom at its finest.
Joker clap.
Some of the stuff, I even want to see him demonstrate it.
Well, yeah, he does in the video. He actually demonstrates all of the gadgets, because
no, I'm saying I want to be there. I want to see it. Because, I mean, for crying out loud, a grapnel gun, I want to see that working. A pneumatic tranquilizer gun. Folding batarangs, I want to see it all. I have no problem admitting that, people. Those would be awesome to see, demonstrated to you live. So, sorry, I interrupted you, Alex.
No, that's really it, kind of.
Yeah.
I admire the man's dedication. Obviously, he's got the advantage. He works in special effects, so putting his craft to some really awesome and fun use.
Which is really cool, because, I mean, I actually met a guy, I met a practical effect artist out here that works locally, and man, you give enough time and you give enough dedication to these guys, they make awesome cosplays. The guy in particular that I'm talking about, I met him at a local podcasters convention, and he was doing an authentic Wolverine cosplay, and we're talking Wolverine not in the X-Men uniform, but in the wife beater jeans kind of thing, and actually gluing claws onto his hands. That was really cool to see. And so practical effects artists, when they have the time and they have the willingness and the resolve, they create awesome stuff. It's just one of those things. I wish I could be able to show you guys some images via this video, just to show you exactly what this guy was able to accomplish, because it's freaking awesome. Let me actually see if I can find those People or panelists, distract them while I try and look this up.
Well, if for any of you who are curious about who want to follow this guy's work, the company that he works for is called Order 66 Creatures and Effects, which they do creature effects as their specific bread and butter. Their Facebook page has currently been swamped as a result of this, but I'm looking at some of the other work they've done, and it's pretty dang impressive. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that people go into creature effects to try to eventually make, and that it's just they know their craft. There's really no other way I could say it. Is that it's just all I can say is just damn.
Exactly. Let's see. I may have tracked down some images. Let me see if these work. So here's a glimpse at some of the tools that the guy made. So there's the Batarang. He even made the claws and a lot of the sensors on the suit. There's the grapnel gun right there. You even have a bat scope, and there's the mask with a respirator in it. So you have that, and then here's an actual picture of the suit. I'm guessing that looks freaking awesome right there. That is fan dedication right there. So I hope that we actually know a lot of those cosplayers out there, so that we can applaud you guys' work when we actually see it, because that'd be awesome. So final thoughts before we move on into the next backup story here.
We're slowly working our way in. First Guinness, soon the world.
Uh-huh.
Of course.
Of course. We'll take them over. So the next story that we have is... This is like a 50-50 thing, because we don't necessarily like talking about this movie, because then it brings up the fact that we have to talk about its director and the possible problems that might happen. We have some more news regarding the upcoming Ghost in the Shell live-action movie. In particular, we have cast photo, or we have cast photos, we have set photos as well. And so we'll go ahead and show those online. I don't know if you guys actually have been able to take a look at these photos and see what you think.
I've given them a look, and I need to go on the record here. I have not actually seen the movie version of Ghost in the Shell, so my familiarity with a lot of these characters is fairly limited. Mm-hmm. So I can only give moderate opinions as to the look of the characters, but that's pretty much where I'm coming into this. That I have not seen it. I have the DVD. I've been meaning to watch it. It's been on the list.
Exactly. I'll start showing some of these images as we go along. And in particular, we actually do have cast photos. Alex, your thoughts on the set photos? Have you been able to take a look at them at all?
A little bit. Like you said, I mean, they're stills, and there's only so much you can gain from stills as opposed to, watching the final movie.
Yep. So, first of all, you have the Major right here. So this is how Scarlett Johansson is going to look in the movie. We have potentially Togusa, which I think is kind of spot on. Unfortunately, the picture that we've got is fairly small. Let me actually see if I can find bigger images of these things. Well, you guys distract the internet even more.
Well, yeah, it's a bit tricky because apparently people don't know how to actually share images on Twitter, because Twitter does not work the same way Tumblr works. And I think I found a Twitter, it's the one called Shaz My Bot that actually has a close-up. It doesn't have the comparison, but at least has more of a close-up of at least 4 of the principal cast.
Yeah, go ahead and link that if you can.
Okay, give me a second.
Or share it, because I've got set photos, so we can at least do that. Yeah. In particular, we have this one. Trying to be able to show you guys this. So here's a set photo of Scarlett Johansson, we're guessing, of the Major.
Looks like her. Mm-hmm.
And we also have this one who supposedly is this movie's Bato. People have actually taken notice of this and have been criticizing it because he's missing his eye enhancements.
Yeah, but keep in mind, though, we don't know if they're actually going to be adding those into visual effects. Now, here's the clearer pictures that I was able to find on the Twitter account.
Here we go.
So here we've got the test photo for Scarlett Johansson as the Major.
Mm-hmm.
And not sure who this character is supposed to be, because
that's supposed to be Togusa.
Yeah.
And that's the mirror, I guess, of him. Or actually, no, is that Togusa? No,
I think this is supposed to be Ishikawa, actually.
It might. No, Ishikawa, my bad. I was reading it wrong. So Major, Ishikawa, Togusa. Then you also have Borma, and there's Bato. There's our new Bato.
Yeah, so a lot of people are complaining about the lack of the eye things, but for all we know, they could be adding those as CGI later on, because this looks less like actual like shots from the set and more like costume tests, like costume and makeup tests to see if they can actually get the likenesses. And yeah, these are the clearest images that I could find, unfortunately, because again, the one that had the full rundown basically has it so small that you can barely read it and barely zoom in.
Exactly.
I have it on my screen. All you have to do is view the image on Twitter.
Okay, so there's Togusa, then we have or Ishikawa, then we have Togusa, there's Saito, then we have Borma, and there's the new Bato, and then we also have Aramaki, the oh crap, what's his name? Takeshi, meet Takeshi. I can't remember his last name now.
Takeshi Kitano.
Thank you. Takeshi Kitano as Aramaki, leader of Section 9. So we have cast photos of them. We even have some set photos. And I'm just going to open it up to the panel. My thoughts on this are they look okay. I mean, there's not really a whole lot of criticisms that I can make here. I will be interested once a lot of the cybernetic enhancements start getting implemented. Like, I kind of agree with the internet. I wanted to see Bato with some eye enhancements. And it looks like they're actually saying that we might actually get a different character with the eye enhancements instead of Bato. I don't know how I feel about that. But right now, they look like they're okay. They don't look spot on, but they're okay. Romney, your thoughts on the cast photos, at least?
Honestly, I don't really have much thoughts beyond... I mean, they may look impressive. It still doesn't allay any of my fears in regards to the guy put in charge of the property, Rupert Sanders, because even if they were to get like the look right, I don't think he's going to handle the story very well, so I still have a lot of the same reservations and misgivings about this film, and honestly, I still just have to wonder why they're even still trying to make it. It's kind of the same problem of, oh, well, this is an anime film people kind of know of, and they're trying to make it a broad, appealing film, which Ghost in the Shell most certainly is not a story with a broad appeal. It is a very, very hard science fiction, very cerebral, but they're thinking, oh, well, we need to make this more of a mass a mass audience appeal thing, and that's where I'm just like, that. I have very little faith in this film. I mean, yeah, the actors they look like they're actually at least trying to get the characters somewhat spot on, but I still, this is not allaying any of my concerns.
You're not the only one. I've actually talked to friends of mine that are fans of Ghost in the Shell, and they are absolutely 100% worried about this film and whether or not it's going to be able to live up to the original film, much less the series, much less the legacy. And I can already tell you, with Rupert Sanders behind the helm, I don't even think it's... I'm not even worried about that, because I can already tell you it's not going to happen. Yeah. I've already seen enough. I've seen enough of Rupert Sanders' work to know that I don't trust him with this property.
Yeah.
Alex, your thoughts on the set photos and the cast photos for Ghost of the Shell?
Oh, regarding the cast photos, it's pretty much like Romney said. It's definitely like costuming and makeup tests, so there's really not a lot to judge off, because we're not seeing them in action. We're not even seeing them interacting. It's just them against a backdrop of sorts, just to essentially, hey, here's how they look. And I mean, costume tests, they start off, but they can change depending on what the costume designers and the makeup artists and what the cinematographers want to do with it, and the director. And, I think we're all just pretty much at the same point we were. We're still skeptical about this live-action film working, really.
Maybe we all should just do this. We'll go watch the original one, and we'll be happy, and we'll just move on. I know Aldo will go see this live-action movie because he wants to see it. He wants to see if it's gonna live up to it. I probably will, just based on that, just because I want to know if it will or not. But let's just all go watch the original movie and just move on with it. Like, let's not worry about Rupert Sanders. We already have a good movie at this point. Does that sound good? Does that sound good for everybody?
Sounds good.
Can we just do that? Okay. Yeah. I think that's a great idea. And again, my thoughts are, this doesn't tell me anything. This tells me about as much as when we were talking about the Rita Repulsa reveals for the Power Rangers movie. All you can do is speculate about it. Do they look accurate to the characters? Yeah, but I mean, I would dare say that Standalone Complex and the movie are different interpretations of the characters entirely. So at that point, I would dare make the argument this could be its own thing, and I would be okay with that. And the set photos are what looks like just kind of more broad spectrum, like painting a city kind of photos. So I'm still worried about this film. I have no problem admitting that. And that actually is going to go ahead and do it for all the backup stories that I have, actually. We've officially run out of things to talk about, so
We must have run out of stuff. We still got plenty on the feed.
we've got plenty of stories. Just no, I'm saying my list of backups has actually been exhausted. That's how slow a week this has been, people. I had like a backup of 2 to 3 stories, and we just ran through it. So
all right, let's see what we got here. Doing it live.
I'm gonna turn it over to Alex because he had the most recent story that he wanted to talk about, which was the Lompoc could be getting new Pokemon-inspired name. You want to take over for that one, Alex?
Okay, so let me pull up the story here. Okay, so the story is the city of Lompoc, which I'm trying to find out where the city is actually based in. I don't know where it's actually at.
Moving on. We'll figure that out as you go.
Okay, so the city of Lompoc, wherever that is, it's considering to have its name changed to Pokemon. At least I think. Jesus.
Pokemon, just generalized Pokemon.
I think it's like Pokemon Lompoc or something, or Lompoc.
Yeah, looking at it, Lompoc seems to be based in California, at least looking at the copyright. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I just got that too.
So the city council, their city council has officially gathered together to consider this resolution to rename their city in a Pokemon theme to capitalize on Pokemon Go.
Yes, and the official term is Lom Pokemon.
Lom Pokemon.
Or Lom Pokemon is what what they're technically trying to do. So, okay. And again, they say that the reason they're doing this is because of because of Pokemon Go, and because of the tourism, I guess, that is coming into the town. I don't have any thoughts on this one because, frankly, this is up to the city themselves, and I think it's a bad idea because what happens when Pokemon Go is no longer popular?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would say I agree. It's a pretty short-sighted idea too. I mean, I guess they're saying that it would be a temporary change, but I wouldn't do it if I were you, city of Lompoc, because it's not going to work out in the long run. I mean, there's already signs that Pokemon Go has peaked and is already starting to decline now, and there's only so much you can keep going off of what can be potentially just a short-term fad. So don't start jumping this right now.
Don't vote in Pokemon Go.
Yeah.
Is that the best way to go about it? So, like, we keep on getting don't drive in Pokemon Go, don't vote in Pokemon Go.
Yeah.
Just don't do it. Not a good idea. Romney, your thoughts on it?
Honestly, I have none, because I'm just like, well, we've had people change their town's names to Viagra, so
Yeah.
Honestly, it's hard to really be fazed by it because, I mean, given that it's a temporary thing, I can see why they would do it. It's just, honestly, I stopped caring about Pokemon Go. I've already deleted it off my phone because I just don't care anymore, so.
Mm-hmm. And yet, I still get people telling me that I hate it because I never caught on.
There is that town in like Romania, I think, that's called Batman, or it's somewhere in Eastern Europe, and there's a town actually called Batman, and the mayor tried to sue Warner Brothers over the name.
Oh yeah, crap like that happens.
Yeah.
Unless we have something else to add on to, I'm actually going to move on to a listener story that also got suggested that I missed while I was collecting stories, if you guys don't mind.
Go ahead.
So this one actually is linking to an IGN story. Let me see if I can get it to you guys. And that is, apparently there's a new James and the Giant Peach in the works, and they may have actually found their director. According to Deadline, the director who helmed the 2 most recent James Bond films, Sam Mendes, is being considered to do the reboot of James and the Giant Peach, and it looks like it's going to be this is something that Romney never wants to hear. It looks like it's going to be a live-action adaptation of James and the Giant Peach.
Yeah, I kind of was figuring that.
Well, the original was live-action animation hybrid. It's just I'm getting sick of these live-action animation remakes and just I'm getting sick of it. I mean, if they actually do something unique and interesting with it, unlike what we got with Peach Dragon, I'm not entirely against it. And plus, it's a Roald Dahl story. I mean, it's hard to screw up a Roald Dahl story. I mean, people have done in the past, but I mean, case in point, Willy Wonka. But really, I'm not completely against it. I mean, Sam Mendes, he's proven that he's a competent director, and maybe he'll actually add the necessary elements of terror and horror that are present in the story, especially with the rhino and the notion of floating around in a giant peach with a bunch of insects. So it's just, again, my nostalgia isn't really attached to the original, but who knows? Maybe it'll be good, maybe it's not. Let's just hope they actually do something unique and interesting instead of, Pete's Dragon.
Yeah, so according to the story, they're looking to get Sam Mendes as directing. It looks like the screenplay is being penned by Brooklyn writer Nick Hornby. I've not seen. Let me take to IMDb and see if I've actually seen anything with him, because the name doesn't sound familiar. This might be like his first project for a film like this. Nick Hornby. Oh no, I'm sorry. He does the series Brooklyn, or the movie Brooklyn. He was a writer for it in 2015. He's done About a Boy. He's done High Fidelity. I'm just looking at his writer credits right now.
Well, while you're looking at it,
Wild, A Long Way Down, An Education, About a Boy, High Fidelity, Fever Pitch. He's done writing for The Late Show, or a TV series documentary on it, and The Ball is Round.
Well, I think I found an image that pretty much summarizes everybody's thoughts.
Okay.
I saw that.
And now I have to curse you, Romney, because I was trying to not bring Deus Ex into things, and yet you found it. Dang it. Deus Ex follows me wherever I go.
I guess you could say you never asked for this.
No, we really never did. I'm actually kind of that opinion. I don't know if I want a live-action James and the Giant Peach. I don't hate the Tim Burton one. I think it's okay.
Okay,
not Tim
to
Burton.
be clear, it's
That was Henry Selick.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Sorry.
Tim Burton had nothing to do with it. They just reused Jack Skellington as one of the models, but it was Henry Selick. Tim Burton had nothing to do with the project whatsoever.
No, I think he was the producer on the movie.
Now we have to actually look this up. Could you, somebody, to the internet, find out. Yeah, I'm saying I didn't hate the one that came out, but I wasn't asking for a new one. If anything, that probably would be the worst idea that they could possibly do, because book adaptations get murdered to some extent.
Yeah, but at the very least, I mean, the version we got was at least somewhat faithful to it. It's just, again, it's very much. I'm just more jaded just by virtue of I'm sick of Disney basically trying to remake all of their effing movies. Okay, Alex is right. He was a producer.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just sick of Disney saying, oh, let's remake all of our animated films because we're completely out of ideas. I mean, I get it. I've heard good things about Cinderella. Jungle Book, I didn't like, but I can see why some people might. Peach Dragon was utterly boring, and so I'm just getting kind of sick of it. I'm just like, I mean, literally, how long?
Oh, and we've got a Beauty and the Beast coming out later.
Yeah, with
Emma Watson in it.
Yeah, which again, I'm just sick of the various live-action remakes because it's very much a case of unless you're going to do something new and unique with the idea, what's the point in making it? I mean, at least with Cinderella was very much trying to counteract the grim, dark fairy tale movies we were getting with Snow White and the Huntsman, but it's very much a case of, I mean, if you're going to do it, do something that's actually unique and actually take some actual creative risks instead of this, safe for everyone distilled versions we've been getting all to appease the foreign box office, and that's really my problem with it. And and again, Sam Mendes, I have some faith that he'll at least give it a unique take that will at least be interesting, that'll actually justify its existence, because so far what Disney has done, I am not impressed. I really am not.
Yeah, the live-action Disney films, I have not been overall impressed with any of them, to be perfectly honest. Final thoughts before we wrap things up for the evening.
This is so unnecessary. Just enough's enough.
Honestly, if they want to remake something, why not try adapting a different Roald Dahl story? I mean, we had a new version of BFG. I mean, a story that you could do on a smaller budget, but I think you could do some interesting ideas that's also by Roald Dahl, The Witches. You could do something really incredible with a story like that, because it's literally about a boy and his grandma trying to battle an army of witches. I mean, how can you not make an awesome movie out of that?
I don't know, Romney, but apparently they don't want to find out. So, yeah, I'm kind of there too. all of these live action adaptations of just they bummed me out. Maleficent, I didn't even see Cinderella. I was actually going to see Pete's Dragon until I started seeing more in-depth trailers, and then I just said no, I'm not interested in this anymore. I didn't even see the live action Jungle Book, and I have no intention of seeing it. So, yep, I'm kind of there too. Final thoughts, Alex?
Nothing more. Just like I said, it's just unnecessary. It's enough already.
Yep. So unfortunately, we're actually going to go ahead and call it. I mean, thankfully we muscled through this. I mean, for crying out loud, it's been that slow at Newsweek, guys, where we actually got through not only our stories but also our backup stories. So thankfully we were able to do it, and we are awesome for doing so. And let's go ahead and wrap things up. If people want to get a hold of us on our opinions on the various stories that we covered tonight, Alex, how did they do that with you?
Well, you can, of course, find me here on YouTube. Shadow Blizzard 3000 is my channel, and I do anime content for the most part, but with some game content on the side. If you want to follow me on social media sites, Twitter is, of course, one of the best places that I'm at. It's at AlexJShort is my handle. Also, I do keep a Dailymotion account on the side, even though Dailymotion's a really kind of crappy website, but it's just where I can put the videos that keep getting blocked or taken down on YouTube. So find me on Dailymotion, but my name there is Shadow Alex. I'll even post it in the chat.
All right, and also send your support to Alex, because right now he is dealing with some bull crap because of the Yona of the Dawn review, and he's been dealing with this back and forth all week, right?
Yeah.
I want to say, like, has it been the past 2 weeks?
It's been 2 weeks now since I put up the review, since the first blocks came in, since the first takedowns went in. I've been going back and forth with this bullshit already, and I'm just sick of it.
So continue to send your love and support over to Alex so that hopefully we can get this resolved with YouTube, so that either he can get the Yona of the Dawn review up, or maybe you'll just have to stick with Dailymotion on this particular review.
Mm-hmm.
Romney.
Also, don't ask me why Dailymotion chose to put Sword Art Online as the thumbnail. I don't know.
Because
I mentioned it 40 seconds. So I do apologize. I'm not trying to bait and switch viewers. It just Dailymotion has really weird ways of picking thumbnails.
Well, he says that now, and then the next video is going to have a bikini photo, and then you have to wonder. Romney, how do people get a hold of you?
Alright, I'm going to have to go kind of slow because the screaming kind of shot my throat, so you can always find me here on YouTube at youtube.com/StudioGhostUtah. You can also find me on Facebook at facebook.com/Romney'sReviews, no apostrophe. And I am also on Twitter at RomneyReviews. And for this week's recommendation, Romney's Viewing Club, this is something that you can actually view for free on the Internet Archive, and that is the Fleischer Studios Superman shorts. Want to take a glimpse of what the golden age of animation looked like? Want to see Superman in a time before all the canon made him completely hard to relate to and hard to follow? Look no further than the 17 shorts produced by the Fleischer brothers back during the 40s, featuring the voice of Bud Collyer as the voice of Superman, who voiced him on the radio station. So that is my recommendation for this week, and you can watch all 17 of the Fleischer Studios shorts on the Internet Archive. So that is my recommendation for Romney's Viewing Club this week.
All right. And if people want to get a hold of me, there are two really good ways to be able to do that. One is my Twitter, which is @Drac2326. It's in my banner. I do try to keep up with Twitter as best as I can, but sometimes it gets a little behind, or it gets a little ahead of me, so just be patient with me on that. And then also, you can always follow me on YouTube and all of the various things that I do there, which is youtube.com/Drac2326. It's where you're at right now. It's where Geek News is hosted, our full-on archive, which has been set up into the various years. So you guys can check out all of that stuff, as well as all of the other content that I provide here. And I've been making a push for 100 subscribers. Unfortunately, over the week, I got another YouTube purge, so I did lose a few. But thankfully, we're almost back up to the numbers that I was at before. So thank you guys so much as I continue to try to hit this milestone. And also, really quick, I just want to pimp the two Let's Plays that I am doing with both of these gentlemen. One of which is Rise of the Tomb Raider with Alex, where you guys can ask your questions to him there as we play through the sequel to the reboot of Tomb Raider. And also Metal Gear with Alex. He's actually joining in on that one, as well as Romney. And actually, we just barely concluded overall filming on it. So you guys can look forward to the end of that fairly soon. So plenty of stuff to look forward to on my channel if you guys want to check it out. If you guys want to get a hold of the show directly, there are 4 ways to be able to do it. The first 2 are social networking. First, you can follow us on Twitter at GeekyNRO, and you can also look us up on Facebook, look up Geek News, Reviews, and Opinions, and like it, and you'll get up-to-the-minute information where we're going live, the discussions that we might be talking about. We might be looking for your feedback there, as well as we have gotten a few listener-suggested stories from Twitter, so we do that as well. You can also leave your stories at geekyweek@gmail.com, and we will bring those into the listener suggestions if we think we can make them work. And then finally, if you guys want to follow the podcast's RSS feed directly, you can go to geekyweek.podomatic.com and get the RSS feed for not only Podomatic, but also for iTunes. So you can get up to speed or up to the moment uploads of the podcast when they are ready and available. I know that the archive is a little delayed and backed up, but we actually are going to have a couple of uploads coming up hopefully this week. So you guys can look forward to that. But that's going to go ahead and do it for us this evening. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you to the live chat for sticking with us, even though we had to kind of manhandle in some backup stories, things like that. It's just been that slow a news week, people. And of course, for me, for Alex, and for Romney, we'll see you guys next time for even more geek news, reviews, and opinions.